The young man just went out for a warm-up, but all the trees in the forest became his punching bags. It might have looked cool, but this monstrous, uncontrollable strength made Johann's life incredibly difficult. His father, terrified of his power, offered Johann no help whatsoever. With no way to live a comfortable life, the protagonist had to fend for himself. This world is a place where the strong rule and the weak must yield. A deer grazed peacefully, unaware that someone was targeting it. There's the prey. The young hunter drew his bow as instructed. Remember what you've learned. Stay calm. His hands trembled with anxiety, but he still tried to hold it steady. Release the arrow. As soon as the command was given, a flock of birds was startled into flight. The clueless deer flinched, turned, and bolted. There wasn't a single scratch on its body. It turned out the arrow hadn't been fired at all. It was because the bow had broken. Joseph yelled in frustration, "Johann, I told you to catch the prey." "Who told you to go and smash the bow?" Johann scratched his head, blaming the material. "This thing breaks too easily. Or maybe the bow was just old, huh?" The old man wailed, retorting, "What are you talking about? I just bought it last week. It was brand new. I knew something was wrong the moment you said you wanted to learn hunting. You're a nobleman, for crying out loud. Why the sudden desire to become a hunter?" Joseph sighed, nagging him relentlessly, which made it hard for Johann to explain. "I'd rather be learning swordsmanship." Even so, his eyes darkened with thought as he said, "But before I can find a job, how am I supposed to make any money?" "Right, money." The old man nodded in agreement. "That's true." Johann just chuckled it off, suggesting, "It's no big deal, come on. Shall we go somewhere else?" A vision of a remote, dilapidated village flashed through his mind. Johann needed money, and the vast field symbolized one thing: survival in this world. His real name was Kim Johann. After an unexpected accident, he had died, and was reborn in this world. Being reborn as a noble was nice, but currently Johann was at the very bottom of the family succession line. Inheriting the title or the fortune, not a chance. He'd be lucky just to avoid getting caught up in his brother's power struggle and thrown out onto the street naked. But the biggest problem was... Johann paused. They saw a pack of wolves surrounding something. "Are those gray wolves over there fighting over something?" Just then an arrow shot past and stuck into a tree, startling them. The entire wolf pack scattered in panic. The one who shot the arrow was Joseph. Johann looked down at the spot where they had gathered and thought to himself, the world he was reborn into was like the Middle Ages, but it was far too real. It was so cruel. "Can't I even rest in peace after dying?" He looked at the body with a blank expression and asked, "Is that someone from our village?" Joseph sighed and shook his head. "It's hard to say. There's no way to know. But one thing's for sure, the weak are just food for the strong." Johann clenched his fists, an indescribable desperation welling up inside him. "That's right. To avoid becoming prey in this era." A look of panic started to show on his face, his eyes saying it all. "I need to get money." When he first arrived in this world, Johann had hoped he would awaken some kind of superpower, but when he realized he had none, Johann changed his goal. The image of a gold coin said it all. Money. With money, he could leave this territory and do anything he wanted. "I could become a merchant or a free farmer." "That's right, money. Money and more money. Money is everything, so I have to scrape it together by any means necessary." Paying him no mind, the old man spotted something. "Look here, Johann. This is the little devil's weed I told you about before. This herb is very valuable." As soon as he heard that, Johann plucked it without hesitation. "Then it must be worth a lot, huh?" Seeing the look on his face that screamed money left the old man speechless. Suddenly, Joseph noticed a pouch near Johann's feet and asked curiously, "Johann, it looks like you dropped something." He shook his head in denial. "Huh, that's not mine. Someone else must have dropped it." The old man, confused, reminded him, "Hey, how could that be? Besides us, who else would dare to venture this deep into the forest?" As he said this, a chill ran straight down Joseph's spine. Wait a minute. Could it be? Just as he suspected, a blood-curdling scream suddenly rang out nearby. The two of them ran toward the cry for help as fast as they could. "Help me! Is anyone there?" As soon as they arrived, both of them gasped in shock. It was a little girl being attacked by a pack of nearly 10 wolves. "Please save me!" Both of them recognized the child. That's Robert's daughter. Why would a child be this deep in the forest? Below, the pack of wild wolves was waiting for a chance to snatch the little girl. Witnessing this, Joseph immediately turned and said, "There are too many wolves. The two of us aren't enough. We have to retreat and get more people." But Johann thought otherwise. He charged forward with a listless expression. Joseph immediately shouted to stop him. "Johann, it's dangerous. These aren't ordinary wolves, they're man-eating beasts. Johann turned back and assured him, "It's fine, Joseph, I'll distract them. You use that chance to save the girl." Although he was so surprised he froze solid, Joseph could do nothing but follow his lead. While Joseph's jaw was hanging open in shock, Johann flashed a sinister smile. "I can't believe it. He's willingly acting as bait just to save some commoner. In reality, all he was thinking about was money. If I'd known this, I would have learned to hunt sooner. Who knew there'd be a hidden gold mine in a place like this? 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 10 of them, huh? If I skin them and sell the pelts, I could make a fortune. All right then. Just you wait, you walk in piles of money." Joseph was shocked by Johann's bizarre actions. "What is this?" He was swinging his sword all over the place as if just for show-making. Joseph exclaimed, "What's with that chaotic sword style?" The aggressive, hungry wolves didn't hesitate to charge, pouncing across the ground and sending leaves flying. Seeing this, Johann reflexively raised his sword to block the attack. The wolf bared its fangs and bit down hard on the sword. Because the blade was so old, it immediately cracked. In just a moment, the sword was almost completely bent out of shape, and then it shattered to pieces, stunning him. From the other side, another wolf lunged with its massive jaws wide open, going for the finishing blow, and then time seemed to stop for a moment. From a distance, Joseph's eyes widened in terror. He let out a piercing scream that seemed to reach the heavens. "Sir Johann!" Meanwhile, in the Itz territory, within the village of Bon-Tron, the inspection team from the Itz clan was making their rounds. Everywhere the sound of horse hooves went, fear followed. Even the seasoned village elders cowered in fear. The woman holding a fan to her nose, looking down on everyone with disdain, is the concubine Madam, the expressionless young man on horseback. He is the eldest son, Philip Itz, and this old drunkard is the Lord Jason Itz. He sneered at them. This cursed countryside village is still as filthy and smelly as ever. Philip, not seeing the person he was looking for, sought Jason's opinion. "Father, my apologies, but it seems Johann is nowhere to be found. He dared to run away during an inspection. Should I send soldiers to find him?" Before answering, Jason took a long swig, then exhaled with amusement. He twirled his finger by his head. "Forget it. Why bother looking for that lunatic? Just let him be. Let him wander around like his pig of a mother." As he was ranting, something unsightly caught his eye. What Jason saw was a huge pile of firewood in a corner of the village. A little curious, he stopped and asked, "What's this? Why is there a pile of firewood at the village gate?" One of the villagers spoke up. "Apologies, my lord. This is from Sir Johann's training. It was a bit of an eyesore, so I covered it up." Hearing this, Jason burst into a sarcastic laugh. "Training a pathetic little worm like him dares to train." But then, as the pile of firewood fell away, his expression changed completely. There was a clear fist print on a log. It was sharp and incredibly deep, and it wasn't just one. There were many logs just like it. They were scattered all around, causing Jason to exclaim in horror, "What in the world is this?" Back in the present, a wolf had successfully pinned Johann down. But what awaited it wasn't a gush of blood, but confusion. The moment Johann flexed his muscles, the wolf was thrown off. It couldn't even bite him. It was sent flying, even spinning a few times in the air. Just as I thought, sword fighting doesn't suit me. Well then, this time I'll fight my way. Come on, you pack of running cash prizes. Survival of the fittest. To avoid being prey in this era, you need money. And to make money, you need something that surpasses mortal limits. As they lunged at him, Johann didn't hesitate to throw a full power punch. With just one hit, the wolf was knocked out cold. This overwhelming power made Joseph's jaw drop even wider. The force of the punch flattened the wolf's face. Like that, Johann landed punch after punch. Not a single wolf could touch him a second time. Getting bored of punching, Johann grabbed one of them. He casually threw it aside. While he was at it, he sent it flying back to where it came from. Joseph, who had been watching this whole time, still couldn't close his mouth. Impossible. What is this strength? In the blink of an eye, he had successfully wiped out the entire pack of nearly 10 wolves, then said excitedly, "So how much gold is this in total?" As memories of his childhood flooded back, Johann had to admit that life here wasn't easy at all. 2 bullies mocked and then beat him up. "Die, you bastard! You don't have a mother yet, you dare to be defiant!" He always had to endure everything. His high-ranking brothers constantly bullied him, flaunting their status, cursing at him, and beating him mercilessly. After venting their anger, they would leave him behind and walk away. "Try that again and I'll stomp you into the ground next time." His eyes filled with resentment. Johann was slowly beginning to understand just how cruel this world truly was. Even if he were beaten to death here, no one would care. The only thing Johann could trust was himself. And so Johann thought, What do I need to survive in this medieval era? Fortunately, the biggest difference between him and medieval people was his wealth of modern knowledge. It was all stuff he had learned to get a job. As a result, Johann's head was filled with knowledge that medieval people could never even imagine. He decided to make full use of it, undergoing high-intensity training based on the principles of exercise physiology. When a village elder asked, "Sir Johann, why are you throwing food away?" Johann replied while eating, "What are you talking about? These are superfoods, oats, cabbage beans, and quail eggs. I'm just designing a balanced diet based on nutritional science." Johann followed a suitable nutritional regimen to build his physical strength. In addition, he practiced practical combat strikes from mixed martial arts, and so the days of relentless training passed by. A few years later, Johann could practically shatter a large tree with his fist. He relentlessly threw punches with all his might. The trees fell one after another, and frightened birds flew away. Johann's carefully trained body gradually achieved extraordinary strength. He put on his shirt and let out a sigh of relief, finally feeling truly comfortable. Johann stood in the middle of a forest of felled trees, all without needing an axe. He didn't know if this was a blessing from the gods or just another one of his trials. Time passed by without anyone noticing. Back in the dark forest on that day, Johann dusted himself off and looked around, assessing the situation. As dawn broke, he was the only one left standing on this stage. The entire wolf pack was down. "Guess that's all of them," he thought. Nearby, the old man was helping the little girl down. "Dio, are you hurt anywhere? Thank goodness. You're all right, kiddo?" Dio sobbed, calling out, "Uncle Joseph!" Joseph sat down and took a deep breath to compose himself. He scratched his head and spoke slowly. "Lord Johann, what you just did was incredibly reckless. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? But to rush headfirst into a pack of wild beasts without a moment's hesitation, all for a serf child. This old Joseph is truly moved by your noble deed. On behalf of the villagers, I wish to express my deepest gratitude to you, my lord." Moved, more like bored to tears, Johann thought, ignoring him completely. Which one of these is the most valuable? Hearing Joseph's voice faintly, he snapped back to attention. "What did you just say, Joseph?" The old man had lost his enthusiasm and didn't want to repeat himself. It was nothing, my lord. By the way," Johann looked at the little girl and asked, "You're Deo, right? You okay, kid?" "Are you hurt?" Deo replied politely. "No, I'm all right, thanks to you, my lord." "Thank you so much, my lord." But then the girl's expression suddenly shifted from calm to horrified. Right behind them was a pair of enormous, terrifying eyes radiating an intense, killing intent. It was so strong they could feel it easily. Seeing Deo cover her face and tremble in fear, both of them blankly turned their heads to check. What awaited them was a murderous face with razor-sharp fangs. This wolf was 100 times bigger than the others. Joseph, his face pale with fear, stammered, "A monster, Lord Johann, you have to run! Now!" "You'd need a whole army to defeat that thing." Ignoring Joseph's advice, he provoked it. "So I thought this was just a normal medieval era, but it turns out to be a world with monsters, huh? Hey, you overgrown mutt. Are you the leader of this pack? Sorry about this. I killed all of your little disciples, because the hides from old beasts like this will sell for a really high price." Hearing this, the wolf could no longer contain its emotions and let out an angry growl. From its killing aura, Johann understood. "I can feel it. This thing is looking at me as prey." "But it doesn't matter!" The wolf let out an earth-shattering roar, signaling the start of the battle. As the roar ended, it lunged, but Johann dodged in time, because no matter what, your hide is definitely even more valuable than the others. With that, Johann threw a huge clod of dirt right at its face. It had no effect. The wolf simply shook its body lightly and everything flew off. However, the attack left a scratch on its eye, and that was exactly what Johann was worried about. "Damn, I'm going to bruise up its entire hide. I won't be able to sell it if it's discounted." The wolf grew more and more furious. Its jaws ground together as it let out a long, haunting howl. The sound it made was unbelievably loud. So loud, he had to cover his ears, his legs trembling as he tried to stay on his feet. Nearby, Joseph held Deo tightly, protecting her. Johann was on the verge of collapsing from exhaustion. He groaned silently, asking himself, "What is even happening?" Johann's vision darkened and then went out completely. An unknown amount of time passed, but the battle was slowly coming to an end. One of the two was now gone, felled by the opponent's strike. That was when Johann jolted awake from the nightmare. He clutched his head, confused. What was that Just now, Johann remembered the giant wolf. A monster, he wondered. He couldn't forget its huge eyes and cold killing aura. Is it gone? He looked over and saw that Joseph and Deo had fallen asleep at some point. Johann looked at Deo and sighed in relief. It seemed everyone was safe even if he didn't understand what had happened. Still, I have to get back before that monster shows up again. Johann hoisted them onto his shoulders, leaving behind the pile of gold he had just earned. Man, I really wanted those old wolf hides. Oh well, can't be helped. Next time I'll have to borrow an ox cart. And with that, Johann left. He had no idea that the forest held even more terrifying secrets. The night was quiet, and the moon was bright and full. From a distance, Johann could see his destination. The village lights are still on. The villagers must be looking for Dio together. Even though it wasn't my intention, I did end up saving her. Who knows, maybe I'll get some points for this. Johann imagined his father would say, "You defeated an entire pack of gray wolves. Well done, my son. I will name you my successor." Then Philip would whine, "Father, but I'm the eldest son." He sighed, his thoughts turning to something more realistic as he walked. It probably won't go that far. But if I'm lucky, I might get accepted into the Guard. If that happens, my future financial worries will be over. As he was walking, Johann suddenly noticed something faint. Over there were torches blazing in the quiet night. A squad of his family's soldiers surrounded him, leaving no escape. Johann stared at the scene, his mouth agape in bewildered shock. At that moment, Philip yelled out as if to remind him, "Johann, how dare you wander off and only come back now? You dare run away on the very day of Father's inspection." Remembering it now, Johann's face had gone pale, completely drained of blood. "That's right, today's the day, I'm so screwed." While Philip was chewing him out on one side, the old man slowly walked down. "You worthless brat, you have no respect." He stomped his foot on the ground with immense power. Johann gently set the other two down. Yes, father. I had some urgent business, so I couldn't say another word." Jason raised his axe. "Shut up, you dare look down on me. I'll split that arrogant head of yours in two." Johann gritted his teeth, speechless with rage. He had just escaped death only to run into this piece of garbage. Life's a real bitch. With that thought, a cunning smile appeared on his face. No, a crisis is an opportunity. Johann immediately used a tactic to make a strong impression. "My esteemed father, I absolutely did not intentionally skip the inspection, father. I was saving villagers who were in trouble in the forest, which is why I returned late." The little girl's father rushed forward, shouting frantically, "Deo! Oh my God, you're safe! I've been looking everywhere for you." He hugged the little girl, murmuring nonstop, "Thank goodness. What a relief." Seeing this, Johann pressed his advantage, explaining the situation. "You see, Father Deo was surrounded by a pack of wolves in the middle of the forest. I fought to save the kid and took down the wolves, sir. Even though I couldn't attend the inspection, I believe I've fulfilled my duty as the son of a knight. If you forgive me this one time, I will devote myself completely to protecting our domain. Oh, and it would be even better if I were appointed captain of the patrol team, father." Hearing this, Philip blurted out in anger, After speaking, Johann thought to himself, "A perfect performance. If this were an interview, I'd be hired on the spot." Jason burst out laughing. He then said sarcastically, Well, so that's how it is it? Future captain, eh? But where are the wolves you caught? Don't tell me those were just empty words." Johann was furious, the question striking him like a thunderbolt. This damned old bastard. Even so, he insisted, "I'm not lying, sir. I even encountered a giant black wolf." At this, nearly all the villagers stared in shock. Jason himself let out a cry of horror. His face turned red with anger as he bellowed, "Insolent brat, you dare lie to me! I'll crush that lying mouth of yours." Johann remained perfectly calm and agreed to the terms. "Are you saying you want a duel, father? Fine. I'll prove my strength right now." But deep down, he didn't want to. After all, this was his biological father. He didn't want to fight him. But there was no other way. So be it. Jason smirked with amusement. "Fine. Let's see what a useless piece of trash like you has got. Draw your sword. We're dueling with swords only, Johann." He stared blankly, repeating the word. "A sword, sir. A sword. You never taught me how to use a sword, you crazy bastard." The two stood in the middle of the fighting floor with many people watching. Jason urged him on. "Hurry up and draw your sword." Defeated Johann took out his shattered blade. "Yes, sir." Jason sighed in exasperation and ordered, "You piece of trash. Philip, give me your sword." Though he didn't want to, he had to obey. "Yes, sir." Philip went closer and whispered in Johann's ear, "Johann, if you know you're wrong, get on your knees and beg Father for forgiveness. That's the only way you'll survive." He replied fiercely and resolutely, "Apologize for what I'd have to be in the wrong to apologize. Besides, a real man never runs away. Please step aside, brother." Philip wanted to stop him, but couldn't. Johann pointed his sword forward. "Very well then, father, please instruct me." Yasin, exasperated, pushed down his helmet and let out a contemptuous grunt. Johann was fired up. "Good. This is the perfect chance to show off my skills in front of the villagers. Yasin will have to acknowledge me. I'll show everyone my true power." He risked everything. He charged forward, determined to win. And indeed, there was a flicker of fear. The old man's face completely contorted. The rushing sword and its dark aura left Yasin speechless. What is this? This horrifying pressure. It's like a monster's. Very quickly after that, he raised his axe to block the blow. The advantage was shifting to Yasin. Johann's sword cracked slightly. He grunted in pain as a fragment grazed him. Johann tried to land continuous strikes on the armor. It shattered. Yasin lost his balance for a moment and fell. Unwilling to be defeated so easily, he gritted his teeth and roared, "You despicable insect, a lucky first strike!" Johann had managed to dodge it in time. He screamed like a madman, "How dare you look down on me, you insect, witnessing this scene!" The others were watching, looking surprisingly serious. Does father really want to kill Johann? Razin swung his axe again and again with all his might. "Do you know why I never taught you swordsmanship? Because even if you learned, you'd still be nothing but a useless maggot. You think you can beat me by flailing around like that? This territory is mine. No one will take it from me. Not you, not the Emperor, not anyone." Johann kept dodging the blows, but the damage was still immense. He wondered what the hell the old man was talking about. Has he gone mad from the alcohol? No, it's more like the blood is clouding my vision. Suddenly a villager shouted, "Johann!" Hearing the call, he turned to look back. At that moment, the axe was right before his eyes. He couldn't avoid it anymore. The entire village gasped in horror, their mouths agape. Johann used the last of his strength to block the powerful strike, but he didn't have enough power left to do anything more. He let the axe bear down on him, and then the result was all too clear. The sword shattered to pieces. Johann fully accepted it. "I've lost." He collapsed to the ground, staring helplessly at his broken sword. Razin pointed the tip of his axe at him and commanded, "Know your place. If you ever dare to displease me again, I'll split your head in two." He walked away, leaving Johann in a pit of despair. Only then did all the villagers rush over, calling out, "Sir Johann!" That night in a house in the village, someone shouted, "That coward Razin!" Johann stopped him. "Father Bamberger, what if someone hears you shouting like that?" Bamberger didn't care and yelled even louder, "Let them hear I am a man of the church, I fear nothing. A knight is supposed to have honor. How could he treat the man who saved the village like that?" He gave a benevolent smile and said, "I'm fine. I'm lucky just to be alive." Bamberger's anger still hadn't subsided. It was an unfair fight from the very beginning. Challenging someone to a duel while wearing full-body armor is just... The alcohol must have made him lose his mind completely. Even though he was smiling brightly, deep down, Johann was still very sad about what happened today. He could only sigh and admit, "This is reality. I knew my swordsmanship was poor, but I never thought it was this pathetic." Bamberger put away some medicine vials and agreed. After all, Razin is a seasoned knight, trained in his family's sword style with plenty of battle experience. It's only natural that you lost. Like Baron Brian from the neighboring territory, I heard he single-handedly put down an uprising of 300 peasants. Just imagining it, Johann couldn't hold back. He shouted, "He fought 300 people by himself. Sir Brian is incredible. So I lost because of the difference in skill. I really thought I could beat that old drunk after fighting that giant black wolf." Hearing this, Bamberger was startled, realizing something. He rushed over, shook Johann's shoulders vigorously, and asked for clarification. "Sir Johann, is what you just said true? Did you really see a giant black wolf in the forest?" Johann was confused by his actions, but still admitted, "Yeah, I did. Joseph and Dell saw it too." Upon hearing this, Bamberger immediately prayed to God. Johann was startled and curious. "Huh. What's going on? Is that wolf something special?" He walked to a shelf and pulled out a thick book. "Sir Johann, since ancient times, the black wolf..." Bamberger opened the book in front of him and said, "Has been considered a bad omen." The image inside depicted something even more metaphorical. And far more terrifying. He stared intently at the picture and explained, "We in the clergy call them omens of death. According to a centuries-old legend, the black wolf brings death, staining everything red with blood." Johann looked at it, his heart pounding in his chest. He rubbed his head and tried to reason it out. Even though I'm not superstitious, could it be that the Black Wolf foretold the fight with my father? Banberger thought so, too. Ah, perhaps. He gave a gentle, reassuring smile. But don't worry too much. The Black Wolf is just a folktale. Perhaps God is protecting you because you always think of others first. You are a good person. Hearing this, Johann became confused. His face went blank. A good person, me. All I want is to make a lot of money. Meanwhile, in the Brit territory near the city of Itz, a desperate scream rang out. Spare me! I know I was wrong. Please, I beg you, spare me! Don't! A blood-red sword filled the frame, and just like that, another life was gone, without a goodbye. 2 guards shook their heads in frustration. It's useless to run. They die either way. Of course it is. They sighed and remarked, but this is truly ruthless. Killing everyone in the territory. Burning it all down, not even leaving a single body. What can we do? On that bloody night, all the soldiers lamented, we were just supposed to collect the money. At that same moment, at the palace gates, someone was making a report. That person bowed his head and handed over a token. The mercenary Kajam Af has finished the cleanup. This is the signet ring of House Burge. He held the ring in his hand, inspecting the inside, then clenched it tightly, crushing it without a second thought. Standing amidst the chaos of battle, he let out a small sound. Humph! I heard he single-handedly cut down 100 serfs. I actually had some expectations, but he couldn't even last 2 hits. This thing is just a worthless toy. On behalf of the Emperor, I, Kajam, of the Holy Sword of the Emperor, declare that I am the one to reclaim the signet ring by His Majesty's decree. I will punish the disrespectful nobles. As for those who are loyal, the Emperor shall bestow upon you endless glory and countless gold and silver. Otherwise, kill them all, loot everything, and burn it all to the ground. Forward. The entire formidable legion charged ahead at his command. The next target, the Itz territory. The battle between Johann and the masked man. It continued to rage fiercely, with neither side willing to give an inch. The masked man firmly parried every single one of Johann's blows, while Johann unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks. The masked man was completely unscathed. He calmly continued to defend. At some point, Johann's sword was sent flying, and his helmet was knocked high into the air. At that moment, Johann was struck by his opponent and completely overpowered. Blood splattered everywhere as Johann's head was severed from his body and went rolling across the ground. Blood kept pouring from his mouth and face. Suddenly, Johann's eyes flew open in terror. He woke up with a loud scream, having just had a nightmare. Johann calmed down, realizing he was still alive. It was just a dream, right? He frowned and clutched his head wearily. The image of that black wolf was still seared into his mind. Ever since he saw that black wolf, I've been haunted by the same nightmare for days. He also hadn't forgotten the warning from the blue-eyed young man. Sir Johann Black Wolves have been considered a bad omen since ancient times. It is the very embodiment of disaster. Johann pictured the haunting image of the wolf standing before a blood-red moon. He frowned. It leaves a trail of blood and brings death wherever it goes. That's why the priests call it a death omen. Johann then tried to reassure himself. It's just a superstition. A superstition. Even Priest Panberger said it's just a legend. Besides, it's not like I did anything bad to that black wolf, or so he told himself. But earlier, he had eagerly attacked the wolf. The thought made Johann turn pale with fear. I wonder, does throwing a rock at it count? In the end, he chose to just ignore it. Ah, forget it. Who cares? No point in worrying. I'm just going to stop thinking about it and go train. Scene changed to a large hill where Johann has chosen to train. Just then, someone arrived to bother him. Hey there, you useless piece of trash. It was his 2 half-brothers. They had come only to taunt him. Hey, second-rate, one began, forgotten father's teachings already. If you want to live like a pig, stop putting on airs. A third-rate with a nasty face chimed in. Yeah, that's right. You already got thrashed, and you still dare to put on a show. Always showing off, but you can't accomplish a thing, can you? 100 hits would probably be just enough to crack that thick skull of yours. The one with the nasty face sneered, you only broke that log because you cheated, right? The one with the center-parted hair chimed in, it was definitely cheating. Someone with a lowly background like you couldn't possibly have any real power. What? Captain of the Guard. In your dreams, you idiot. Father would never even think of you. If he had any use for you at all, it'd be to chop wood before throwing you to the pigs. Johann didn't utter a single word in reply. He simply punched the tree trunk. The very next second, Johann unleashed a powerful blow, channeling all his strength and smashing it to smithereens as his 2 half-brothers watched. Their jaws dropped in fear. The enormous tree trunk had been split in two by Johann's punch. Now he slowly turned to face them, cracking his knuckles threateningly. "Well now, what was that you were just saying? Why don't you come a little closer?" Seeing this, his two brothers tucked their tails and ran, but not without shouting a threat over their shoulders. All right, fine. We're leaving. Just you wait. I'm telling Father everything." Watching them go, Johann's heart filled with helplessness and contempt. What a pathetic bunch. How can they live so carelessly? Shouldn't they be worried about how they're going to make a living from now on? They don't seem to care about their futures at all. But he quickly shook it off. "All right then. Why should I worry about them? Time to get back to training." Suddenly, Philip's voice echoed out. "What they said is true, you know." He approached with a stern look. "Father won't give you any official position." Hearing this, Johann forced a smile. "Yes, Philip, I figured as much. But the fact that he didn't kill me and is letting me live is already lucky enough." Philip, as if seeing right through him, asked, "You're disappointed, aren't you?" Johann didn't try to hide it and answered honestly, "There's nothing I can do. I'll just have to find another way to make a living." Philip continued his words, causing Johann to freeze for a moment. "Father is afraid of you." Johann listened without replying, a troubled look on his face, but Philip wouldn't stop. He went on, "Johann, you're frighteningly strong. To Father, that power is a major threat. He just wants a good, obedient son like me. But I'm different. I'm going to live life on my own terms. Father thinks that one day, your power will take everything from him, just like how Father overthrew Grandfather to become the Lord." Johann looked awkward, his eyes showing a bit of disappointment. "How ridiculous." Philip then turned and ordered a servant. "Bring that here." He obeyed, carrying a large bag. "Yes, Sir Philip." The servant reached inside, rummaging for something. Johann was stunned. "What is this?" Philip placed a set of armor and weapons on the ground. A long sword and unadorned armor that had been in the castle for who knows how long, and a set of women's armor with no other weapons. "This is the stuff you stole." Johann felt a pang of guilt at the old story. Philip then lowered his voice and continued, "Johann, I'm not like Father. I'm not stupid enough to drive away someone with talent. So when I become Lord, I'll make you the captain of the It's Guard. From now until then, stop slacking off on your training and stay out of trouble." Johann immediately shouted to defend himself, "I never start anything." But Philip kept walking away, his back turned. He didn't even give him a parting gesture. Johann just stood there watching his receding figure. He gazed thoughtfully at the items on the ground. Even now, Johann couldn't stop thinking. The armor from my dream. If I wear it, will I die just like in my dream? But even so, for some reason, I believe I can overcome it. That I won't die. Of course, there's no proof my belief is correct. In a flash, Johann had donned the armor. He placed his hand on his chest with determination. No matter what, if you want to win, you need a weapon. And so a day passed. The sun was setting. Laughter and chatter echoed through a tavern. "Hey, stop telling such crazy stories." "But it's true." A man continued his story enthusiastically. "Sir Johann killed 50 wolves, but he said a knight isn't greedy for money, so he threw all the pelts away. He only drew his sword to save my daughter. To be so young and upright, isn't he a true knight?" His drinking buddy chimed in. "Yeah, compared to that lecherous drunk Jason, Sir Johann is much more of a knight." Another person added, "Seriously, how is that pig not dead yet? It would have been great if Sir Johann had just cut his head off right then and there. Come on, Johann, probably just let him go. After all, he is the Lord's son." Suddenly, the old man who'd been telling the story walked over to a man in a black cloak and made a generous offer. "Hey, friend, the drinks in this tavern are on me tonight. Drink as much as you like." The other man asked in a cold voice, "And why is that?" The old man shouted with glee, "Because Sir Johann saved my daughter's life, of course." A man wearing a bandana asked curiously, "Oh, and who might you be? I haven't seen anyone who looks like you around here." A dark aura emanated from the man in the black cloak. He let out a savage laugh. "A man who doesn't know his place indeed. Daring to draw a sword and insult the Lord? The people here truly don't know fear, do they?" Everyone who heard him froze, bewildered. "Huh? What?" The man in the black cloak smiled a wicked, sinister smile. "Your stories has piqued my interest. Tell me about this Johann Itz." With that one sentence, the village fell into a deathly, eerie silence. At that same moment, Johann was on his way home. He was in a rather good mood. Johann was imagining 7,749 glorious scenarios for himself. Philip will make me the captain of the guard when he's crowned. Finally, my path forward is golden. But just then, something strange up ahead caught his attention. It was a figure in a black cloak leaning against a fence. Johann wondered to himself, is that a drunk person? A future captain of the guard can't just ignore someone like that. After a moment's hesitation, he walked closer and spoke kindly. Sir, you'll catch a cold sleeping out here. Where's your home? I can help you get back. That's when strange things started to happen, making Johann wary. What is this? Something feels cold. Suddenly, the cloaked figure lunged into an attack stance. Johann's pupils constricted as fear gripped him. It was so sudden. What is this? Night had fallen on the small town. The surrounding homes had all extinguished their lights, leaving only an oppressive darkness. All of a sudden, the cloaked man pressed something sharp against Johann's neck, giving him no time to react. He tried to figure out who this person was. Who is this guy? An assassin sent by Jason. No, that's not right. If it were Jason, he'd have come himself. A series of theories raced through his mind. Then, someone from the brothel madam. Could it be Philip? The more he thought, the more his speculations led him to a dead end. Damn it. I can't figure out who's behind this. He finally decided to speak first. What do you want? He tried to negotiate, just hoping to be spared. Is it for money? I'll give you everything I have. Let me go. The man in black still wouldn't release him. Money, I can give you a mountain of it. Hearing this, he became even more frightened and his thoughts grew more chaotic. It's not about money. Then what does he want? This time, the cloaked figure spoke first. Johann, I have a few questions for you. The man pressed a sharp object tightly against his neck. If your answers don't satisfy me, I'll pierce your throat in an instant. He applied so much force that a bit of red syrup started to ooze from the boy's skin. Johann looked utterly bewildered by the question. What kind of question is this all of a sudden? And he's threatening to kill me if I answer incorrectly. He tried to calm himself down. Get a grip, Johann. You've passed the second round of interviews for a major corporation. After all, I have to give the perfect answer to survive. The man didn't wait for him to agree. Well, then let's begin. Johann braced himself. All right, ask away. The man's eyes scanned down his body, observing him carefully. He touched Johann's sturdy arm. Quite the physique. It's hard to believe you're of the same bloodline as that pig. Are you really Jason's son? Johann's face was a mess of question marks. He let the man grope all over him. He's holding my life in his hands, and he's asking this kind of nonsense. Damn it, how am I supposed to answer this? After thinking for a moment, he answered nervously. Even from the bloodline of a pig, a lion can be born. The cloaked man heard the answer but didn't say another word. Seeing his silence, Johann became terrified. Why isn't he reacting? Did I answer wrong? The man let out a soft breath. The very next second, he burst into laughter, leaving Johann bewildered. The man in the black cloak then continued, That answer is quite to my liking. Seeing this, Johann was overjoyed. So, can you let me go now? Without making him wait long, the man replied instantly, No, Johann, from now on you are mine. He understood every word, but when put together, he couldn't comprehend the man's meaning. What? What the hell are you talking about? This man's name is Ka Egenzilder's master poisoner and the most powerful assassin in the Nessos Empire. After countless missions, he created a unique swordsmanship style with movements like a venomous snake. Hence, it was later called the Serpent Sword. But he had one great sorrow: he couldn't find a successor, even after searching all over Zilder. But all he found was a brood of unworthy scorpions. Sometimes he'd discover a few with potential, but that person would be sitting on the ground panting heavily. For the sake of my honor, I would rather die than learn your assassination techniques. The man didn't hesitate to grant the stubborn fool's request immediately. Very well. More than 30 knights of noble lineage died at the hands of Ka Egan. All of them chose death for honor. In his desperation to find a successor, Ka Egan sought out the imperial witch. An old woman's voice rang out. Lord Ka Egan, bestower of peaceful death. The successor you seek is in the tiny fiefdom of It's, a place that no one pays any mind to. He is one of the sons of that lecherous lord who is addicted to fermented goods. Hearing the witch say this, Ka Egan looked completely incredulous. That rural backwater. You're telling me my successor is there. Hey, 1 gold coin is enough to buy that entire piece of land. The witch placed her 2 hands on the table, remaining calm in the face of his mockery. If you don't believe the prophecy, I will return the gold. Ka Egan tapped lightly on the table. But how would I dare to steal from a witch? I'm terrified of being cursed. All right, fine, I'll believe you. Ka Egan accepted the witch's words because for someone like him who had wasted a lifetime searching for a successor, there wasn't much time left. But even after he set foot in its, he was still endlessly suspicious. Is there really a successor in a rustic place like this? He thought as he walked. If I don't like the look of you, I'll kill you without hesitation. The man began to introduce himself to Johann. I am Ka Egan, the master of Gilder. There's no more time for dreaming. You must become my successor. Now answer me. Choose to die at my hands or learn my swordsmanship. You may only choose one of the two. Johann gulped, a plan carefully forming in his mind. In the next second, he yelled, If I want to learn your swordsmanship, how much will I have to pay you, sir? Ka Egan was a little displeased. No, money, I don't accept it. Johann's 2 eyes lit up. He means it's free. A high-level master, the head of Gilder, is going to teach me swordsmanship. And it's free, too. Is this a dream? No. I've hit the jackpot. He quickly turned around and clapped the man firmly on the shoulder. Master! Why did it take you so long to find your pupil? I've been waiting for you for nearly my entire life. His reaction left Ka Egan a bit bewildered. My swordsmanship is the art of assassination, you know. Just learning it is enough to bring you disgrace. Being pointed at by those around you for the rest of your life will become a knight's disgrace. Knowing that do you still wish to learn, those words of warning, did not dampen his determination. Honor or disgrace, I don't care, sir. Please teach me, sir. Kagan looked at him confused. He really is a weirdo. Johann suddenly held his hand out toward the man. Ah, master. You said you have mountains of money. So if I learn well, could you give me some spending money? Kagan didn't agree right away, carefully staring at the person opposite him. This brat really is one of a kind. Meanwhile, in the It's Raisin territory, a man sat on horseback preparing to leave the castle. The inspection is done. I'm heading out for a bit. The 2 people behind him saw him to the door, not forgetting to add their farewells. Yes, sir. Please be careful. They said in unison, we will look after the city well. Immediately after that came the hateful glares of Philip and the madame. Humph, the madame spoke first. No matter how hard you try, this city will still be mine. Not backing down. Philip shot back, you talk too much. Its next master will be me. Its Raisin hadn't gotten far before he heard the bickering behind him. Damn it. All they do all day is argue. I'm sick of it. I'm not even going to look. Do whatever you want. Philip suddenly came forward to report, Father Johann hasn't returned yet. What should we do? Only then did the man remember that son of his. Immediately he yelled, Philip, don't waste my time with that useless thing. I don't care if that weakling dies in a ditch somewhere. Philip quickly tried to smooth things over. Yes, I'm sorry, Father. He still won't stop pushing my brother aside. Johann, where in the world are you? At the same time, near the territory, Kagan's voice rang out. You, I need to see what your skill level is. Johann was flustered. Huh, Master, I'm sorry, but may I borrow a sword? I tend to break swords a lot. Kagan had no choice but to hand over the sword. In his eyes, there wasn't a shred of trust for his disciple. A disciple who breaks swords? This guy deserves to die more and more. I don't see anything good about him. Maybe I should just kill him and get it over with. He pointed another of his own swords towards the boy, ready and waiting. Johann, his face full of determination, said, Yes, sir, and presented his sword. His other hand was clenched into a fist. Kagan looked at the stance completely exasperated. But what a terrible stance. Is he really from a family of knights? Good heavens. This is hopeless. I'll just have to kill him. Johann suddenly spoke up. A fight doesn't necessarily have to be with swords, right? Any style of fighting is fine, isn't it? Kagan was starting to lose his patience. Whatever you want. Fists, feet, kicks, swords, I don't care. In that case, Johann laughed loudly. He then swung the sword in his hand, attacking straight towards the man. The sword in the man's hand immediately shattered into pieces. In that very moment, Kagan realized how meaningless his doubts had been. His expression was one of disbelief. This guy is terrifyingly strong. Johann didn't stop continuing to swing his fist straight at the man before him. I managed to dodge it. Just a single punch created that much wind pressure. If I'd been hit by that, my flesh would have been torn to shreds and my bones shattered for sure. This guy isn't human anymore. He's a lion. He reached behind his back, carefully gripping another sword. However, Kagan didn't hesitate, swiftly drawing his sword and attacking the boy. Johann, with the broken sword in his hand, was flustered. Wait, what kind of bizarre movement is that? Which direction are you planning to attack from? Up, down, down. But before he could finish figuring out the direction of the attack, Johann was struck straight in the mouth. He fell back several meters, spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood. It took him a moment before Johann could stumble to his feet. Kagan stood still with no intention of helping his disciple up. I figured you'd just fall, not get knocked unconscious. What an extraordinary person. I've never seen anyone like him. If you had been born 1,000 years ago, you would have been revered as a legendary hero. Johann's face flushed red. Thank you for the compliment, Master. Kagan cut him off. But you have a fatal weakness. If you keep going on like this, you will certainly die one day. Johann's face was full of surprise. Huh. Certainly die. What do you mean by that, sir? The man calmly explained to his student. You are unable to control your own strength. Therefore, that very strength will kill you. The boy slowly got up, rubbing the back of his sore head. What? There's no way that could happen. I wouldn't hit myself, I'm not an idiot. Kagan, from out of nowhere, pulled out another pile of weapons. He handed another sword to his student. So confident are you, try attacking again. If you can break my sword this time, I'll reward you with something you like. Gold coins. The boy's eyes lit up. Gold coins! Without hesitating, Johann grabbed the sword and charged towards his master. You'd better keep your word. Kagan didn't hold back either, immediately drawing another weapon to block the blow. The two swords clashed with a powerful force, sending sparks flying. Once again, the sword in Johann's hand shattered. He was hit by the very fragments of his own broken sword, crying out in pain. Johann staggered back a few steps, a trickle of blood running down his cheek. He recalled his last attack. Damn it, this situation is exactly like when I fought with Father. Kagan, his own sword still intact, spoke up again to teach him. See, you were defeated by your own strength. Learn to control it, Johann. If you don't, you will surely die. Johann forcefully pulled out a sword fragment that had just lodged itself in his armor. A shard aimed for the heart. You did that on purpose. The man sighed, admitting it. Yes, for a swordmaster it's as easy as pie. And Johann was finally scared. I understand now. I have to learn how to control my power. I have to learn in order to survive. In the future, I still have to become the captain of the Itz Guard. And Kagan continued his lesson. Once you've mastered how to control your strength, you'll even be able to do this. Before he could finish his sentence, the man swung his scabbard at him. Johann had to use all his strength along with his damaged sword to block it. A crack suddenly appeared on his armor, his face filled with utter disbelief when he saw it. Cutting through armor with a scabbard, the man held the scabbard firmly. See, Johann? If you focus your strength, even something as dull as a scabbard can slice through armor. If you can truly master that terrifying power, I can't even imagine how strong you'll become. The sword flew towards his face again, but luckily he managed to dodge it at the last second. That concludes the skill assessment. Now the official training begins. It's going to be extremely harsh. You might even have to face death. Are you prepared? With a determined expression, Johann firmly replied, Yes, Master. The next morning in the kingdom, Johann was taking a walk. After just one night of training, his face was covered in so many bruises that even his parents wouldn't recognize him. Johann couldn't help but recall the previous night how he'd been beaten mercilessly just as he started to get a feel for restraining his power. But man, it's so hard. But at least I didn't break my sword again. I wonder when I'll get to learn actual swordsmanship. He looked ahead with a completely surprised expression. Huh, who are they? A group fully equipped with iron armor and weapons was standing in front of the city gate. He walked over to ask, Excuse me, who are you? Why are you all standing in front of the gate? The man waved his hand dismissively. Can't you see it's curfew? Get out of my sight. Johann grew angry, pointing straight at him as he yelled, Who are you to tell me to get lost? The man laughed slyly. We're the Akaten Wolves, a mercenary group under the Emperor's direct command. Johann's attitude changed instantly. A mercenary group, I could use some information to find a job. Oh, so you're the esteemed mercenary bosses. If you don't mind me asking, how's the pay in this line of work? The men from the Akaten group saw his ragged clothes and scoffed. Ha! You want to be a mercenary? Listen, kid, our pay is a world apart from the city guards. We get up to 2 gold coins for a single contract. Johann's eyes lit up when he heard the amount. 2 gold coins. They moved in surrounding him while he was distracted. A big guy like you is just an easy target for a sword. What's important is skill, you know. Johann, completely unsuspecting, just nodded. Right. His 2 eyes shone brightly, thinking he'd found the opportunity of a lifetime. I've never even earned a single gold coin in my life, and their pay is way better than the guards. Maybe I should switch to being a mercenary. Just as they were talking, a man in golden armor rode up on a horse. He sat on horseback, looking down scornfully at Johann below. Johann immediately became wary. Johann gripped the sword in his hand, ready to attack, but before he could do anything, about 10 swords were suddenly pointed straight at his neck. He broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't even understand his own actions. Huh. Why was I about to draw my sword? A mercenary shouted angrily. You insolent fool! How dare you attempt to draw your sword before Lord Kazam-A-Fa? I'll deal with you right now. The other man raised his hand, ordering, Stop, that's enough. He turned his horse's head, his eyes fixed on Johann. Who are you? With 10 swords at his throat, Johann could only swallow hard. He answered nervously, Greetings, my lord. I am Johann, son of the Itz family. Hearing this, the man removed his helmet. He revealed long platinum blonde hair. It was Kazam-A-Fa, Royal Guard Knight of the Holy Empire. Johann bowed respectfully. I don't get it. Why did my hand move to my sword? Whether it was the wolves, my father, my master, or anyone else who wanted to kill me, I've never felt like this before. It's a suffocating, overwhelming pressure. It's like I'm just tiny prey before a mighty predator. It feels like a rabbit standing before a dragon. The man commanded, Move! You're blocking my way! One of them slapped Johann hard on the back as the mercenaries walked past him one by one. Oh dear, what's wrong? You must have been scared out of your wits. Be more careful next time, my lord. Ah, but I wonder if there will even be a next time. The training knight respectfully followed close behind Kazam-A-F. Sir Kazam-A-F, if I may ask, are you sure it's all right to let that insolent fool go? He smiled faintly. I don't wish to cause a scene on such a beautiful day. At least not right now. Johann stood still, watching the group leave. A knight of the Emperor. What are they doing in a backwater place like this? Someone shouted frantically. What, Lord Kazam-A-F? The sound of hurried footsteps echoed as Philip dashed outside. Why would someone as noble as you come to a place like this, reaching them? He greeted them hastily, out of breath. I am Philip Itz, heir to the Itz territory. Sir Kazam-A-F, what brings you here? At that moment, the madam appeared at the door, fawning. Oh, my lord Kazam-A-F, truly a masterpiece among men. There is no other in this world who can compare to you. And this is the son who will truly become the lord of this land. If I had known you were this handsome. I married rather late. Now please, my lord, come into the city for a meal. Seeing Kazam-A-F coldly walk past, the madam hurriedly tried to stop him. Wait, Lord Kazam-A-F, can you hear me? Philip, who was witnessing this, couldn't help but frown in annoyance. Kazam-A-F sat down and took hold of his helmet. The face behind it was incredibly handsome, but just as wicked. Philip, where is Jason? Kazam-A-F's words silenced the entire room in shock. Philip gathered all his courage to gently remind Lord Kazam-A-F, no matter how high your station is, addressing Father Jason directly by his name like that is disrespectful. But the madam, without thinking, jumped in to defend him. Not at all. He is the supreme knight of the Empire. He can call him whatever he wants. I am the rightful host to receive him. Philip gritted his teeth in frustration, cursing silently in his heart. You cunning witch, always trying to create opportunities to put your son on the throne. Lord Kazam-A-F was growing angry. He slammed his sword into the ground and roared, Too noisy! Kazam-A-F then casually made an arrogant demand, Get out, all of you, stop your rambling and bring me wine. He glared, revealing a murderous glint in his eyes, and bluntly declared, I will wait for Jason in the city until he returns. Scene changed to another location in the forest. The sound of clashing weapons echoed rhythmically. Johann and Kagan were still training relentlessly. The image of Kazam-A-F on his horse suddenly came to mind, even his cruel gaze. The more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Suddenly, Kagan roared, scolding him, You bastard, focus! Johann finally snapped back to his senses, but right in front of him was a barrage of daggers flying straight toward him. Johann slashed to deflect them, but unfortunately he still got hit. Johann grimaced in pain as he looked at the wound on his neck. It was bleeding. Kagan turned around annoyed. If that dagger I just threw was poisoned, you'd be dead already. Why aren't you focusing? Without hesitation, Johann explained frankly, Recently, a group of Imperial Knights came to the village. Their presence feels strange. This is its territory, after all. Even if they're Imperial Knights, closing the city gates and controlling access like this is absurd. Kagan cleared his throat and questioned, Even if it's suspicious, what can you do about it? Kazam-A-F, a Royal Guard Knight serving directly under the Emperor. He's the strongest warrior on the continent, a core force of the Holy Empire. Even the armor he wears is a legendary treasure. Hearing this, Johann couldn't help but be stunned. Stronger than you, Master? Kagan paused for a few moments at the unexpected question. Kagan frowned and admitted, "If I were to face Kazam AF, I'd run for my life without looking back." The boy quickly retorted, "But you won't know the outcome until you fight him." And for that, he smacked Johann on the head while yelling, "Shut your mouth, you idiot! Do you even know who you are? Just a useless brat who can't control his power. An illegitimate child who knows nothing about swordsmanship, and you think you can pull off some trick." Johann was temporarily silenced by those scornful words, his lips pressed tightly together. A moment later, he gripped his sword, looked forward, and said confidently, "I can do it." But the man still looked at Johann with contempt and said, "Fine, come at me." Right after that, the two of them immediately clashed in a fierce battle. Before long, Johann took a blow from Kagan. The man roared, "Again!" and Kagan attacked once more. He quickly raised his sword to block. As expected, the man was too strong and Johann couldn't evade. Kagan grew more and more frenzied, shouting wildly, "Again!" But he refused to give up, leaping forward while questioning himself, "Why isn't it working? That's just a scabbard. Why can't I cut through it?" Suddenly, a brilliant light appeared at the tip of his sword and Johann had a realization. That's it! The flow of power. It's not about swinging the sword wildly, but about channeling the force and focusing it into the tip of the blade. As he did this, Johann, while practicing his swings, began to understand the meaning of controlling his power. Even he was starting to notice it. This kid, the sound of his blade was growing sharper. In the blink of an eye, a keen slash was unleashed in midair. Johann attacked relentlessly, giving the man no time to react. He gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, thinking to himself, "This is it." Everything he had learned was being put to use with just the right amount of force. Johann quickly raised his sword high, preparing for a powerful slash. At the same time, his eyes blazed with a brilliant light. He looked terrifying. The sight made even Kagan break into a cold sweat. "Whoa, this is dangerous." Without any further hesitation, Johann swung his sword in a wide arc. It was as if a serpent wanted to swallow the weapon in the man's hand. In the gloomy darkness, a brilliant flash of light suddenly appeared. Kagan gritted his teeth. He looked down to see both his scabbard and sword had been cleanly sliced through. Seeing this, Johann was ecstatic, smiling brightly. He shouted excitedly like a child, "All right, I did it. I get the feeling of it now. It's pretty easy, isn't it?" He still couldn't believe it. Watching Johann whistling and celebrating, he thought to himself, it must have been a lucky shot. Suddenly, Kagan called out, "Johann!" The boy immediately turned his head and answered, "Yes." He drew his sword, took an attack stance, and declared, "This time I'm not holding back. Come at me." Without a moment's hesitation, Johann once again unleashed his vicious serpent strike, aiming right for Kagan's head. The blow landed, shattering Kagan's sword in two and sending him crashing to the ground. Seeing this, the boy leaped for joy. I won again!" Kagan's eyes were wide with shock, sweat pouring down his face. "What the hell? What is this kid?" "I only taught him how to control his strength, and now he's already mastered the snake's tongue technique. After just our first meeting, he's completely absorbed my technique. Not only that, he wields a real sword even more perfectly than I do." Kagan thought for a moment. He couldn't believe it was real. His instincts as a master assassin told him that Johann, whether by luck or not, had now become an unbeatable opponent. Nesso's sword of the poisonous ice. The most elite assassin of the Gilder Empire was blushing furiously. He looked at Johann, who was grinning from ear to ear with joy. He's already learned the technique. I can finally retire, he thought. What an unbelievable, monstrous brat. By then, the full moon had reached its peak, and Kagan's voice echoed through the forest. "Johann, the training ends here. I will leave at sunrise." Hearing this, the boy asked in confusion, "Huh? But I've only just gotten the hang of using a sword. Is that it? Is it over?" He replied immediately, "You've already accomplished everything you need to in swordsmanship. As much as I hate to admit it, you're stronger than me now. In less than a week. I just hope my sword style isn't lost to time. Now go and live however you want." Johann leaned forward as Kagan sighed. "You've worked hard." Confused, Johann asked, "Are you really leaving?" Kagan confirmed. "Yeah, I've never stayed in one place for long." Johann looked at the fire in front of them and curiously added, "Is it because you're an assassin?" Sitting beside him, Kagan denied it. "No, that's just how I am." Johann glanced over at him. "Ah, by the way, Master, do you know anything about the Red Tide?" He was momentarily surprised. "The Red Tide? You mean the Black Wolf?" Johann quickly replied, "Yes." He recalled the wolf under the crimson moonlight and recounted, "A while ago after I saw it, I had a dream that my head was cut off. So when you were about to strike my neck, I thought you were the red tide, Kagan sighed. If I were the one to kill you, then I would be your red tide. Bad luck isn't something that comes in a fixed form. Before I leave, I'll give you a few conditions. First, I'll find you a weapon suited to that power of yours. Danar's steel should suffice. Johan's eyes widened in surprise. What's that? He asked. He began to explain Danar's steel to the boy. It's a magical metal that only exists in ancient artifacts. Weapons made from Danars are extremely rare. The number in the entire world? It can be counted on one hand. Hearing this, Johan looked dumbfounded. It must be really expensive, huh? Kagan added. You couldn't afford it even if you saved up your whole life. In fact, it's not something money can buy. Johan wondered, then why did you suggest it, Master? He replied, I was just messing with you. Just find whatever weapon you like. Johan furrowed his brow. Are you holding back because you're an assassin, Master? Kagan shot back. No, you idiot. Do you have to blame everything on my profession? You can recognize a Danar's sword just by looking at it. If you see someone carrying one even from a distance, just run. Don't even look back. You won't live long if you don't know your place. Johan etched the words into his heart. I'll remember that. After a moment, his master stood up. Johan asked again, You're really going... Kagan warned him one last time. Johan, burn these words into your soul. Never fight an enemy you cannot defeat. If you sense danger, run. If you absolutely must fight, then use any and every means to kill them. Just remember that and you won't die easily. Don't you dare die, Johan. He watched as the man's back slowly faded into the distance. Johan recalled his warning, If you sense danger, run. If you can't run, you must kill them by any means necessary, and you must live. He clenched his fist, his resolve firm. I will take it to heart, Master. Meanwhile, in the city of its night had fallen completely. A madam's voice spoke softly. Is the wine to your liking, sir? Kazam AF replied with disgust. It's like rotten piss. Get in here. The madam smiled brightly and asked, It's a very expensive wine. Is it not to your satisfaction, sir? Well, what can be done? The finest wine is only found in Jason's bedroom. You must be tired from your long journey. Don't trouble yourself with such thoughts. Come and rest in a nice warm room. But he remained silent. The madam's cheeks flushed as she offered a seductive invitation. Jason's bedroom is very cozy, you know. I'm certain you'll be satisfied. Her voice was dripping with seduction, implying the two of them could get intimate and have a very good time together. Kazam AF, completely uninterested, just snapped, Get lost. The madam's face paled. Lord Kazam, AF, we don't have much time. Please let me entertain you now. Yasin won't be back for a while. He fell silent, his eyes drifting over to her. Then he spoke. Well, I was just getting bored. All right, then. Let's give it a try. A satisfied smile spread across Kazam, AF's face ready to taste the thrill of the slaughter. The man before him was so terrified by the sight that he had to cover his mouth. Johan slowly dragged his heavy feet forward. His eyes widened in shock. What is this? A scene of utter devastation appeared before him. The village was engulfed in a sea of flames. He was frozen to the spot. How did our village end up like this? Staring at the column of smoke billowing in the distance, someone was panicking uncontrollably. What in the world is going on? Why is the Its territory smoking like that? His subordinate was just as bewildered. I don't know, my lord. The fire looks massive. You should turn back immediately. The frantic sound of hooves galloped away. The continuous clatter echoed, then came to a screeching halt upon seeing the city gate sealed shut, blocked by guards. The men on the other side chuckled darkly. So you finally decided to show your face after all the fun is over, huh? You look so stupid slow at everything. Hurry it up, Sir Pig. The soldiers roared with laughter. Lord Kazam API is not a patient man unlike us. The moment the gate swung open, the portly man's eyes widened completely. Before him lay rows of soldiers' corpses. What? Someone approached their brilliant metal heels, letting out a sharp, clinking sound. Kazam Appen, clad in full golden armor with only his blood-red eyes visible, stared intently at the old man. You're late, Gaison. Gaison growled from his throat. What are you doing? He yelled in a fit of rage, raising his axe threateningly. What the hell do you think you're doing? Kazam Aten also raised his sword and said calmly, Gaison, by his majesty's decree, you have committed the crimes of attempted regicide and treason. The Its family will be purged. A stout man retorted angrily, Don't be ridiculous. This is a purge. You're just pinning false charges on me to have me executed. Then the old man charged forward with all his might. I won't let you do as you please. His voice remained cold. Sound the horn at Kazam Appen's command. Hundreds of soldiers were ready to storm the castle, retrieve the seal of the Itz family, and purge everyone in this domain, erase this land from existence. As soon as he finished speaking, the troops cheered and stormed in. Wipe it off the map. All that remained were roaring flames endlessly devouring everything. A soldier holding a sword ground his teeth in frustration. "You're a real bastard!" He violently grabbed the priest's hair, pressing a sword to his neck. "Tell me where that pig's bastard son is hiding. Is it that hard, fine? I'll send you to your god, the one you so devoutly worship." Seeing that Van Berger would rather die than speak a word, he roared, raising his sword to strike. "Die!" Warm blood splattered everywhere, but it was the soldier's blood. Van Berger watched in astonishment as the soldier's arm fell through the air. He stammered, looking at the person before him. "Sir, Johann." Johann untied the priest and asked urgently, "What's going on?" He shook his head helplessly. I don't know. The royal army is killing the villagers on sight." Van Berger whispered, his face covered in blood. "It's likely that Lord Gason has also been killed." Hearing this, Johann trembled unconsciously. "My father, too." The flickering flames nearby were like a giant monster. And that's not all. They're burning down the entire village to erase everything. Johann ground his teeth. "Damn it. I have to get back to the castle quickly." He was suddenly snapped out of his thoughts by a voice that startled him. "This voice!" The brawny young man hurried off to Van Berger's confusion. "Sir Johann..." But when he found the owner of the voice, he was overjoyed. "Is that you, Deo?" Johann sighed in relief. "Good. You're still safe." "It's dangerous here. Come here with me." Before he could finish, he was so shocked he fell silent. Next to Deo was the body of her father, tortured to death. "Sir Johann, my father..." He stared in stunned silence. Such a kind man who loved his daughter so much had to die in such a painful way. He looked around dazedly at the villagers who just the other day had been laughing and talking with him. Now they were all dead. The soldiers who used to accompany Johann had sacrificed themselves trying to protect the village. A wave of emotion washed over him, and he had to clench his jaw to keep from losing control. Gently placing a hand on the sobbing girl's shoulder, Johann instructed in a soft voice, "Deo, it's dangerous to be alone. Stay with Father Van Berger." The little girl nodded. "Yes, sir." After that, he picked up his sword and walked away decisively. Sir Johann, wait, where are you going?" Van Berger, holding Deo tightly in his arms, urgently tried to stop him. "You can't go! You need to run!" But his retreating figure only grew more distant. Sir Johann. When he arrived, the first thing he saw was his father's head mounted on a flagpole. Below it, a treacherous notice was posted. "Lord Gason Itz has been executed for the crime of treason against the Emperor. Anyone who dares to retrieve his body will be punished for the same crime." Veins bulged on his neck and face as rage boiled within him. "Royal Knight Kazam Apin." A soldier recognized him. "Huh, what? Aren't you his bastard son?" He smirked. "I thought you'd run away." Came back to die. Without a word, he swung his sword and cut down the flagpole. The enemy's flag fell to the ground, and Johann stomped on it decisively. The soldiers quickly surrounded him. Look at this brat. Don't just stand there, kill him." His eyes, filled with killing intent, swept over them. The sharp blade flashed past. One by one, their throats were slit. They died before they could even close their eyes. Silence fell again. Only Johann remained amidst the rubble. He wondered grimly, why did I do that? Why did I come back to the castle? A part of him knew he should have done something else. Father Van Berger was right, I should have run. Biting his lip, he thought, if I came back, I'll just die a pointless death. Amidst his chaotic thoughts, a faint whisper suddenly broke through. "Johann." He froze, then looked down and asked, "Philip." The man was covered in blood. He was barely breathing. "You're still alive?" Johann didn't answer his question of, "Why did you come back?" He had already taken off his helmet, struggling to force out the words, Go run. If you stay here, you'll die." His weak hands lifted something up. "I wanted to give this to you, for when you become the Lord." Johann reached out and took it sadly, listening to his brother's final words. One day, he had to press his lips together tightly. His master's teachings were still deeply ingrained in his mind. "You must understand the difference in skill. If you encounter danger, run." His hand clutched the scratched helmet. The opponent was the Emperor's knight. Even his master told him to run without looking back. His master's words seemed to echo in his ears. But running away isn't always the answer. If you must fight, then you must kill them at all costs. He put on the helmet. Johann shot to his feet, clenching his fists. And now is the time. He pushed open the heavy doors. Several soldiers stared at him bewildered. One's jaw dropped. What the hell? How did this bastard get in here? Where are the guards? Johann clenched his fists and roared, Kazam Apia! He knocked aside anyone who stood in his way. Get out here, you bastard! The muscular fiend didn't retreat an inch. Bloodthirsty pants echoed as his blood-soaked sword dripped onto the ground. Kazam Apia slowly approached. So the runaway son of House Itz actually survived? He asked casually. You're the kid who was in front of the castle back then, aren't you? Johann, it's right. Johann had no time to waste. I'm in no mood to exchange names, he growled. Just think of me as someone who's royally pissed off, you bastard. The cold knight sneered. You should have kept running. If you had, you might have lived. It seems you don't value your own life. His blood-red eyes flashed. Very well. He drew his sword. If you want to die, then come at me. Johann charged without hesitation. You don't have to tell me. That's what I was going to do anyway. Johann and Kazam Apia. The two clashed fiercely amidst a sea of flames. The deafening sound of steel on steel rang out. Johann lunged forward, bringing his sword down, but Kazam Apia parried the blow with a tremendous crash. It was so powerful that a crack appeared on Johann's sword. Under the immense pressure, the blade was sliced halfway through. Kazam Apia had nearly severed Johann's sword and sent him flying with the momentum. But quickly, Johann regained his footing. A second later, he countered, determined to risk it all again. Seeing that his opponent didn't know how to surrender, Kazam Apia broke into an excited smile. This is fun. Just as Johann was attacking, a slash cut across his sword. He froze, looking at the gash in surprise as slashes repeatedly and wildly struck his blade. Johann could only stand there, unable to react. Without waiting for his opponent to move, Kazam Apia leaped forward with a flurry of slashes. Johann could only dodge, falling to the ground. Kazam Apia brought his sword down again. Johann hastily dodged to the side. The attack grazed the pillar in front of him, and instantly the stone column shattered, large blocks of stone crashing down. Dust and smoke filled the air. Seeing his opponent dodge all of his attacks, Kazam Apia felt amused, recalling how quickly his previous opponents had fallen. A thought rose in his mind, he's far beyond that Burzet fellow. Amidst the thick smoke that obscured all vision, a soldier suddenly came flying out. Kazam Apia swiftly cut the soldier in two, sending blood everywhere. A diversion. Throwing out a smoke screen to distract me, he thought, amused. How very interesting. Kazam Apia looked toward his opponent, his eyes and smile filled with exhilaration as he thought, entertain me more, bastard of House Itz! Suddenly, Johann lunged forward to attack. Kazam Apia raised his arm to block the blow. The powerful slash cut through his armor and deep into his flesh. Johann had attacked with his broken sword, leaving Kazam Apia in utter disbelief. He quickly leaped back to create distance. Johann casually tossed the sword, which was now just a fragment behind him. He would face him head-on. The smoke gradually cleared, revealing the scene. Looking at the wound on his wrist, Kazam Apia was in disbelief. A question filled his mind. Did he just cut through my steel armor? My nether's armor. Now, unlike his earlier overwhelming presence, he was trembling with fear. Johann picked up another sword and slowly walked forward. Kazam Apia's eyes were now filled with confusion. His mind screamed, impossible! Humans can't possibly harm Nether's steel. Who is he? Johann attacked again, and the two clashed fiercely. Kazam Apia was stunned, unable to believe it. I've never heard of anyone with this kind of power. After clashing for a while, he noticed something. Seeing Johann's clumsy sword strokes combined with his immense unrelenting power, he concluded, he's just a brute who relies on pure strength. He's just swinging his sword wildly, with no technique whatsoever. Spotting an opening, Kazam Apia thrust straight ahead, grazing Johann's shoulder. Johann immediately ducked and stepped back. Seeing his opponent struggle to dodge the blow, he silently affirmed, just as I predicted. He can't even parry a simple thrust. Seeing Johann swinging his sword without any strategy, Kazam Apia grew suspicious again. He's swinging completely on instinct. There's no proper technique at all. Could it be that Gasson never taught him real swordsmanship? He wondered. He's dangerous. I need to end this quickly. Recalling the sloppy swings from the beginning of the fight. If he uses that stupid slash one more time... Kazam Apia had already envisioned a different outcome. His precious head will be rolling on the floor. In his mind, he taunted him. Come at me, you little brat! But Johann surprised him, making him exclaim, what? His sword moved like a great serpent. It twisted and turned with great skill. The serpent slithered past his defenses and bit its target. But the armor was too hard, and the blade couldn't withstand the impact. Cracks appeared on it. Though the sword broke once again, it was enough to pierce through, leaving a large, bleeding wound. Struck by the blow, Kazam Appia was horrified. His eyes widened, his pupils constricting as he saw Johan's fist flying towards him. Relying on his strength, Johan threw a straight punch. Kazam Appia was sent flying to the side, a large dent in his armor. Blood shot from his mouth. Eyes wide with horror, he planted his sword in the ground to steady himself. Kazam Appia knelt, clutching his wound and spitting out a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with confusion. He grit his teeth, his anger reaching its peak. "This is Kaigan's technique assassination swordsmanship, Johan Itz. You've been hiding your true skills this entire time." Seeing Johan pointing the broken sword at him, radiating killing intent, Kazam Appia cursed, "Damn it, I completely let my guard down." He covered his mouth, but blood continued to pour out. Pools of blood formed on the ground as he coughed violently. At that moment, Johan removed his helmet. Looking at Kazam Appia with utter indignation, he slammed the helmet onto the ground and demanded, "Hey, why did you do all of this?" "Do all?" Kazam Appia looked up and answered hesitantly, "It was all for His Majesty. The Than Empire is more unstable than ever. His Majesty has drawn the Imperial Sword to restore order to the Empire. The sword named Mapka, as the story goes." He clutched his wound in pain, coughing violently. Then Kazam Appin laughed loudly and shouted, "I am most grateful, Johan Itz!" He then lowered his voice and continued, "For a decade I have fought on countless battlefields, and I have fought against countless knights, but I have never met anyone as strong as you." Gazing at Johan with determination, Kazam Appin made his offer. "Come with me to the Empire, Johan. His Majesty is in dire need of a powerful talent like you right now." He painted a picture of countless privileges. "Endless gold and silver from the Empire will bring you glory, and you will receive vast fertile lands. His Majesty himself will appoint you as a knight."
A royal knight of his court. And then Kazam Appin exclaimed, "Become the Emperor's sword, Johan." Johan fell silent, pondering every word he'd just heard.
Endless gold and silver, huh? Then he stood silently and looked up at the sky. It was a strange, indescribable feeling. Johan closed his eyes in thought. This is the life I once dreamed of. But for some reason, right now I feel nothing at all. With that thought, he gave his resolute answer. I refuse. Faced with such a promising vision, Kazam Appin couldn't believe what he was hearing. "What?" he exclaimed. Filled with hatred, Johan roared, "Get lost! You didn't just kill my family. You killed innocent serfs, people who did absolutely nothing wrong." Kazam Appin asked, puzzled. "Serfs You're rejecting my offer because of a bunch of serfs." He clenched his teeth in anger, then screamed, "Who cares if they die? What was your mother, some lowly serf? They are insects." "A swarm of weak insects. The strong drink the blood of the weak. That is the law of this world." Hearing this, Johan fell silent. He thought to himself, "I'm sorry, master." He clenched his fists so tightly in rage that his nails drew blood from his palms. "I can't control my power." After a moment's hesitation, Johan punched Kazam Appin straight in the face. He went berserk, raining down blow after blow, each punch a furious accusation. "For the Emperor worthless lives." His fury now at its peak, Johan gathered all his strength for a final blow, screaming wildly, "What makes you think you're so superior? That you have the right to judge who deserves to live and who doesn't?" Kazam Appin's face was beaten to a pulp. Unable to resist, he went limp as blood streamed down his face and his body gave up the fight. Dripping with his blood, Johan's fist trembled. His rage hadn't subsided and the veins on his hand bulged prominently. Beaten to a pulp. Kazam Appin lay on the ground, letting out a dry cough. Johan didn't spare him another glance as he turned to leave. He had only taken a few steps when Kazam Appin spoke. "You fool!" He struggled to raise a trembling hand, pointing it at Johan. "You should have accepted my offer." With his teeth broken and his face a ruin, Kazam Appin stubbornly uttered, "Now! It's too late. The man who broke the Emperor's sword," he warned, "will know nothing but suffering from this day forward." Hearing these words, Johan turned his head, glaring back at him. Kazam Appin's arm trembled and then fell. A moment later, his will broke completely and he passed out. Johan turned and walked away into the blazing red smoke and fire embers floating through the air around him. As he walked, he reflected. This world accepts death so casually just to survive. All I ever used to think about was money. Johan's hand remained clenched in a fist. His anger still hadn't cooled, he thought. But after witnessing village after village engulfed in flames and its people slaughtered, my heart only fills with more rage. They massacred everyone in our territory. Our families, our neighbors, all slaughtered and burned. He stepped over the collapsed bodies of soldiers. His resolve hardened. Even if the whole world becomes our enemy, I will do what must be done. We will never regret our actions, no matter what anyone else says. Johann's eyes grew firmer than ever. He affirmed, "This is how I will live." Meanwhile, at the city gate, a soldier stood guard in the dead of night. Hearing a commotion, a man named Dien stepped inside. He demanded in shock, "Let me ask you again. Is what you just told me true?" A soldier covered in bandages replied, trembling with fear. "It's true, I'm not lying at all. Please, sir, you have to believe me." The horrified soldier continued his tale. He just rushed in out of nowhere and beat all the soldiers half to death, and thence with his bare hands he took down Lord Kazamapan. Upon hearing this, Dien swallowed hard and continued to listen in silence. That was the last time any of us saw Lord Kazam-Apin. We couldn't find him anywhere at the scene. This information made Dien lose his temper. He shouted in frustration, "If what you say is true, then Lord Kazam-Apin's body has to be there. How am I supposed to believe such a baseless story without a shred of proof?" Faced with this interrogation, the soldier didn't know how to explain himself. He could only stammer, insisting, That's the part I don't understand either, but I'm sure of what I saw." Another soldier came forward to report, "Sir Dien, the pursuit team is ready." Dien held his head in his hands, exhausted. "I know," he replied. "I'll be out in a moment." Elsewhere, the sound of urgent footsteps echoed. Dien shouted an order to his soldiers. "Relay this to the entire army. All troops, listen up. Ready your weapons." An uproar erupted as everyone chanted, "Find him and kill him." Dien continued to command, "The target is Johann Itz." On another front, footsteps pounded ever more frantically. A filthy traitor to his own kind and the suspected murderer of Lord Kazam-Apin. But in that moment, Johann was running for his life, carrying Kazama-Tin through a barrage of attacks from the soldiers. Dien screamed non-stop, ordering the hunt for him. "Kill him if you must, but you will bring him back at all costs, is that clear?" Constantly pursued, Johann was forced to fight while carrying the body. Although hindered and slowed, he dealt with each soldier swiftly. On the other side, the entire squad turned pale as they listened to Dien's warnings. "He can tear through owner's steel with his bare hands. Do not confront him alone. Treat this as a dragon hunt. Blockade every road surrounding the territory. We will corner him all night until he collapses from exhaustion." The soldiers were all bewildered by this information. One of them stammered, Sir Kazama-Apin, is he dead?" Dien slowly emphasized every word of his command. "We must bring that bastard's head back to his majesty." Johann remembered Philip's instructions. "Listen carefully, Johann. About 500 paces northwest of the hunting grounds, you'll find my stables. Get there. Get on a warhorse and escape. You must survive no matter what." Taking temporary shelter by a tree, he set Kazama-Apin down. He was panting from exhaustion, his gaze fixed on the silhouette of a house in the distance, guessing it must be the stables Philip mentioned. "So tired. I really thought I was a goner. I'm lucky. I thought hiding Kazama-Apin's body would cause some confusion, but the pursuit team acted faster than I expected. Still, since his armor can be used as a shield, maybe I should keep carrying him until I shake them off my tail." Johann patted his thighs, struggling to regain his strength. He steeled his nerves, encouraging himself. "All right, let's go." Walking up to the house, Johann opened the door and went inside. The creaking of the door echoed in the silent night. Before his eyes was a sturdy white horse. It looked incredibly fierce. It saw Johann and snorted. Seeing the white horse, Johann was certain. So this is Garrison's war horse. Stroking the steed, he whispered, "Thank you, brother." As Johann petted the horse, he was overcome with joy. With this horse, at least I can get some rest on its back. After observing it for a moment, he hesitated, thinking, "Let's see. Your name will be—" Finally, Johann spoke out loud. "Nice to meet you, Philip." Elsewhere, a soldier shouted when he saw a flash of light not too far away. "I saw something shine around here." I'm sure it was the gleam of owner's steel search every corner of this area. Simultaneously, they all raised their guard, ready for battle, as the commander yelled, "That bastard must be close by." But within the formation, another soldier spoke up. "I hear hoofbeats." Suddenly, the silhouette of a horse galloped past them, looking closely at the person on its back. One of them recognized him and shouted, It's Johann Itz! He's escaping on horseback!" The man and horse quickly sped past and galloped onward. Wave after wave of arrows. The commander ordered, "Shoot him down! Don't let that bastard get away!" Upon hearing the order, they unleashed a volley of arrows, but they were all blocked by the armor of Kazama aping that Johann was carrying. And just like that, Johann rode through the night, quickly losing the pursuit team and venturing deep into the Black Forest. After traveling a considerable distance, he stopped and dug a hole looking down into it. He thought this deep should be enough. Even though he was a rotten bastard, it doesn't feel right not to bury a person. Glancing back, Johann hesitated. Still, his armor looks really expensive. He held the sword in his hand, giving it a few test swings. Johann suspected, "It's light yet sturdy. This sword must be made from owner's steel." He drew the blade from its sheath and saw a strange inscription carved on it. Johann couldn't help but be surprised. Ancient imperial script. The inscription on it translated to, "I am the reclaimer of the seal." He mumbled the line again. "Reclaimer of the seal?" Johann grew angry as he understood the implication of those words. Does that mean reclaiming the family crest? Even the name sounds pretentious. It feels like this sword is my sworn enemy. After a moment, Johann decided to strap the sword to his hip while he tossed the armor into the hole. "I'll carry this sword with me for now. As for the armor, I'll bury it." Having to bury such a valuable item made Johann full of regret. Damn it, what a waste. But carrying it around won't do me any good right now. I'll definitely come back for it later. With his decision made, he filled the hole with dirt and stuck the shovel in the freshly covered earth. Having buried the body and his gear, he was exhausted, his body trembling with a bit of anxiety. Is this good enough? With a pensive look, Johann thought to himself, Kazama, aping the Emperor's knight. Once word of his death gets out, the entire empire will be hunting me. The countless knights who followed him will also try to avenge him. He also recalled what Kazama Apping had said before he died. From this moment on, you will know nothing but suffering. He closed his eyes, reflecting on his life so far. My life has always been full of suffering long before I beat him to death. What do I do now? The Itz clan has been burned to the ground, and I didn't even manage to bring a single coin with me. I can't even sell this precious armor. I'm so exhausted. My hands won't stop shaking. I'll just rest for a bit and figure things out later. As if sensing someone behind him, Johann flinched. He drew his sword, spun around, and guardedly prepared for a fight. A massive black wolf. Its eyes glowed a fiery red. Johann froze when he realized it was a dire wolf. Trembling from exhaustion before a formidable opponent, he cursed in frustration. Damn it! Of all the times to show up, it had to be when I'm completely exhausted. Johann frowned, his mind in turmoil over the situation. I have no chance of winning. My arm is so weak, how can I even hold this sword? He cautiously stepped backward, looking for a way out. I need to get to my horse and escape this place. From a distance, Johann's heart leaped when he heard it. The shout, "We found his horse!" The squad of soldiers gathered around the horse, energetically searching everywhere. The commander yelled continuously, "We've got the bastard's warhorse!" He must be nearby. Johann panicked and looked behind him. The Aki wolves, those bastards are here already. The commander pointed in one direction and shouted, "Over there, I heard something from that direction." Just then, Johann was spotted. He gritted his teeth in anger. Damn it! Johann was surrounded with no path to retreat. In front of him were monsters, behind him the pursuit squad. There was no escape, just as he was fumbling, unsure of how to escape. Is this the end for me? The black wolf suddenly leaped right past him. It lunged at the soldiers, tearing into them. Attacked without any reason, the soldiers screamed for help. It's a monster! Help! Help me! Witnessing this, Johann stood there, stunned. What is going on? Did it not see me? Get a grip. That doesn't matter right now. It's clearing a path. This is my chance. Johann's body could no longer support him, and one of his legs suddenly gave out. He bit his lip. Powerless, he forced his body to move. I have to act. If I don't go now, I'll die. A second later, Johann summoned all his strength, let out a long yell, then sprang up and forced himself to run. He managed to climb onto the horse's back and seized the opportunity to gallop away. Memories of his childhood flooded back scenes of Van Berger teaching him as a boy. On the road, man and horse rode at a full gallop without stopping, just as he left the place. Johann recalled his memories, scenes of him and Philip together as children, then scenes of his training from childhood to adulthood. Each memory flashed through Johann's mind like a film reel. Leaving the place where he was born and raised, he said his final farewell. Goodbye, Itz village. Back where the soldiers were, the entire squad had been slaughtered by the Black Wolf. Not a single one survived. After finishing them all, It raised its eyes following Johan's disappearing figure. The black wolf only watched, not moving. A chapter of his childhood had ended. Elsewhere, all the royal soldiers were on high alert. "Hunting me down." Johan cursed in frustration. Observing from nearby bushes, he was bewildered. "There's a checkpoint here, too. The exit is completely blocked." Johan slumped to the ground, crying out in helplessness. "I'm finished. Ever since I escaped, I haven't eaten, slept, or done anything properly. I never thought I'd be hunted by those damn Aki wolves for 3 straight days. The number of times I've almost died is more than I can count. Every time I fought back against those damn things, they just swarmed me in a pack." The dark circles under his eyes clearly showed his exhaustion. Johan knew he had reached his limit. He didn't even have the strength to lift his sword anymore. He was trapped in a dangerous situation. He was utterly lost. Is there really no way out of here? Am I just going to let those bastards catch me and execute me like this? Johan heard a noise from behind. He turned to look and saw a group of people escorting a carriage in his direction. Johan guessed to himself, a cargo carriage with armed guards. Is it a merchant caravan? An idea suddenly struck him. All right, I'll disguise myself as a peddler. Johan made a rather daring decision. If I look like I'm part of their group, I might be able to avoid suspicion. I'll use them to get through the checkpoint. The man in the carriage was from the Katana Eldang Merchant Company. A mercenary called out, "Sir Eldang." Eldang replied. "What is it?" Gozanshan looked ahead. He continued, "There's a figure up ahead." Gozanshan announced, "It's a heavily armed horseman." Another member of the caravan exclaimed, "What?" The mercenary Gozan Khan spoke cautiously. "Sir, I believe we should prepare for a fight." The mercenary Gamson casually replied, "Why make such a big deal out of one guy on a horse? If we have to, the 9 of us can just rush him and finish him off instantly." The mercenary Gozan Khan, worried, pointed at Johan and warned Gamson, "Look closer, Gamson. He's not like us. He's in full armor and riding a warhorse. On top of that, he's wearing a helmet and a breastplate." Gozan Khan pulled Gamson's head down. Pointing, he said, "And do you see that sword hanging at his side? Look at the hilt. That purple glow means it's definitely a sword forged from OANS steel. If he swings that thing at us, our armor will be sliced through like butter. We could all be wiped out if we face him head-on." While Gozan Khan slapped his forehead and laughed in despair, Gamson remained completely unfazed, showing no fear or worry. He tried to reason with his comrade. "Wiped out, really? Don't you think you're overreacting just a little? There are 9 of us here." 9. Another person in the group shoved Gamson, yelling angrily, "Hey! Someone get this idiot out of my sight. I can't think straight because of him, and the others are just as annoyed." Smack, smack. "Come here, you moron. If you don't know anything, then just shut your mouth." Yodang, now in a panic, quickly turned and shouted, "Gozan Daikon, get everyone ready so we can attack the moment that guy makes a suspicious move." "I'll go up and check the situation first," he ordered tensely. "When I give the signal, all of you attack at once." The group complied. "Yes, sir." The man Yodang stepped down and slowly walked forward. Meanwhile, Gozan Daikon turned back and whispered to the others, "Listen up, everyone. Once the fight starts, knock that guy off his horse first, then calmly thrust your swords into the gaps in his armor." He stepped forward, probing as he greeted him. "Hello, I am Yodang of the Katana Trading Company. I'd like to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. May I ask for your name?" Seeing that the person approaching wasn't human, Johan was a little startled. A cat person. Seeing the dark, highly vigilant expressions on everyone's faces, Yodang was both confused and suspicious. Noticing the tense situation, Johan was just as bewildered. He thought to himself, "This is bad. Does he suspect me because of how I look right now? First, I need to get him to lower his guard." A second later, Johan spoke up, removing his helmet to be more polite. "May the blessings of the gods be with you, sir. My name is Johan. I look like this because I was attacked by robbers on the road earlier. You don't need to be so wary." He pointed behind Yodang and hesitantly made a request. "So, could you please tell the gentleman staring daggers at me back there not to attack me?" As if a great weight had been lifted, Yodang burst out laughing. "It seems I have been quite rude. Please forgive me. As a merchant, I must always prepare for the worst-case scenario." And Johan replied, "Of course I understand that. That is why." He asked timidly, "Would it be possible for me to travel with your caravan? As you can see, I lost all my travel money in the attack." He also proposed a deal. "If you could provide me with a little food and a place to sleep, I will help protect your caravan." Yodang stroked his beard, thinking, "He certainly looks strong enough. He doesn't seem suspicious either." A moment later, he decided, "Very well. let's do that. Then Yodang pointed towards the back and said, "We are on our way to Masto. It will be a rather long journey. You should go and get acquainted with the group of mercenaries over there." Johann thanked him profusely. "I am incredibly grateful, sir." Though he was overjoyed, he was confused inside. Masto. Where is that Ngai Yodang returned to his carriage? Gozan couldn't help but ask curiously, "Huh, Sir Yodang, what's going on?" He gave a brief answer, but didn't forget to add a warning. "Just a wanderer. Nothing to worry about. We'll be traveling together for a while. Still keep an eye on him just in case." His gaze turned sharp as he told Yodang, "If anything happens, do not hesitate to kill him." The group replied, "Yes, sir," with the immediate problem solved. Johann breathed a sigh of relief. "Good. Now I just need to get through the checkpoint." The caravan continued its journey. A soldier saw him and called out to the others, "Hey, someone's coming!" They shouted at the merchant caravan, "We are the Aquitaine Wolves if you want to pass. And cooperate obediently and let us perform a preliminary inspection." Even though he'd made it this far, Johann was extremely anxious. "We're finally at the checkpoint. I hope I can sneak through without drawing attention." Yodang spoke up. "Aquitaine Wolves, I have done business with you several times. I am Yodang of the Katana Trading Company. I wish to speak directly with the person in charge." Hearing this, a soldier became extremely flustered. He stammered, The Katana Trading Company." He was terrified upon hearing that name. The trading company, with its headquarters in Masto, the center of commerce. Is it that Katana Trading Company? The city of Masto is a place that not even the Emperor dares to casually mess with. Remembering all this, the soldier gave a fawning smile. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Sir Yodang. We are only following orders searching for a fugitive traitor. If you would kindly cooperate a little." Hearing that, Johann grew angry. "Fugitive traitor, these bastards really set up this checkpoint to find me." A soldier had now reached him and began his inspection. He barked, "Hey you, take off your helmet and show us your face." Flustered Johann cursed silently. "Damn it." Then he faked a few coughs and made an excuse. "The thing is, I have a bit of a condition on my face." So the group of soldiers burst out laughing. They mocked him. "What did your mom push too hard when she gave birth to you? Let's see that messed up face of yours. Hurry up and take it off." Or so one of them said, while another threatened slyly, "Are you hiding something?" He and the soldier locked eyes, one worried, the other stern. Johann was about to draw his sword, thinking, "Damn it, if it's come to this, perhaps I have no choice but to fight." A loud shout made them both jump. "That's enough!" Yodang was truly angered. "Are you seriously suggesting you suspect the Katana Trading Company?" The soldier tried to justify himself. "That's not it. We are just carrying out royal orders." Yodang repeated himself angrily. "I told you to go get your commander, didn't I?" Yodang pointed directly at the soldier's face, reprimanding him sternly. "If you interfere with our business any further, I will have no choice but to file a complaint. Directly with your captain. I will go to the Masto branch myself." The soldier could only order helplessly, "Clear a path for them." The other soldiers pretended to whistle, avoiding eye contact, pretending ignorance. A soldier facing Johann tossed out a comment. "You're lucky, you poor bastard." He breathed a sigh of relief. "I managed to get by without having to fight. I'm finally getting out of here." But the soldiers continued to watch Johann intently, their faces grim and full of killing intent. The group had stopped, lit a fire, and was resting. A mercenary spoke up to assign duties. "Everyone do a final check on your equipment. The night watch will be assigned to the oldest member and the newest recruit." Johann was sitting in his tent humming while reading something. One of the mercenaries spoke up. "You said your name is Johann, right? You don't have anything specific to do, so just go ahead and get some sleep." Johann quickly thanked him. Thank you." He took off some of his gear, rolled it into a pillow, and tossed it onto a spot lined with a mat. Lying on the mat, Johann shivered and sighed. "I never thought getting a little shut-eye would be this difficult. Finally, I can rest." As soon as he lay down, he was fast asleep. From up high, a flash of light revealed the triumphant face of a soldier. He turned back and gave an order. "Good. Get ready, everyone. We'll surround them from the hill and attack all at once." In the middle of a training ground, hundreds of military personnel were gathered. A superior officer's shout echoed. "Sergeant, defense in depth is a military strategy aimed at delaying rather than preventing an attacker's advance. It buys time and inflicts additional casualties by yielding space. Instead of defeating the attacker with a single strong defensive line, defense in depth relies on the tendency of an attack to lose momentum over time or as it has to cover a larger area. During the battalion-level tactical training, The defense in depth was successfully executed. By using the defense in depth tactic against a large company-sized enemy force with only a small number of troops, he demonstrated outstanding tactical thinking and became an example for the other soldiers. Therefore, he is awarded a commendation along with a 5-day, 4-night leave bonus. Battalion Commander of the 30th Unit, Lieutenant Colonel Kim Ji-bak, please step forward. The stern-faced young soldier shouted loudly, "Yes, sir!" Johann beamed. Amazing, and I can't believe it. Maybe the military really is the right place for me. It's a good thing I studied strategy and tactics beforehand. But his happiness didn't last long. Life isn't always a bed of roses. The backwards, old-fashioned, superior subordinate culture, the killer, shifts the working conditions that were either scorching hot or bone-chillingly cold. His inner self screamed in desperation, and worst of all, there was truly nothing more painful. The pay was peanuts. He struggled desperately. Damn it, this isn't how it's supposed to be, I'm going to desert. But they wouldn't let him go. Where do you think you're going, huh? It's easy to get in, but not so easy to get out. A deafening curse echoed, "Damn it!" Johann's eyes snapped open, drenched in sweat. He was still clutching his sword. Was it a dream? He let out a sigh of relief, sitting up and scratching his head in confusion. I can't even get a good night's sleep, Johann thought, because of that dream about the army. My whole body aches. Suddenly he looked up into the sky. The moon cast a blue glow. The space around him was completely silent at that very moment. An arrow cut through the air, heading straight for him. Thwip Johann caught it with his bare hand. It was just 1 millimeter from his eye. It took Johann a few seconds to catch his breath, startled and afraid. His sense of danger was screaming. An attack. Are those bastards chasing me again? He shot up like a spring. And here I thought I'd finally gotten away safely. I have to warn the mercenaries first. Without hesitation, Johann yelled to announce, "Enemy attack! Let's go back a bit to 5 minutes before the enemy alarm was raised." The mercenaries were still whispering. What I want to know is, Gamson grumbled in discontent, why are we the only ones working ourselves to death? To be fair, that cavalryman should be assigned to the night watch too. The mercenary next to him yawned. Gamson ordered, "Shut your mouth." He turned his head and shot back. You're telling me to assign watch duty to some guy we don't even know. Did you ever stop to think that while we're sleeping, that bastard could slit our throats, steal all the goods, and run off? Gamson sighed in frustration. If you can't figure out what's important and keep acting so thoughtlessly, you won't last long in this line of work, he spoke up. Gamson glanced over, his gaze hardening. I became a mercenary because I didn't want to be stuck my whole life in that backwater village. Because I want to live like a real man, but... His face darkened as he sneered. If I had known that the Goran mercenaries were just a bunch of useless idiots who freeze up in fear, just because of some knight in armor, I never would have joined this trash heap of a squad in the first place. That successfully ignited his anger. What the hell did you just say, you want to die? Both of them had their hands on the hilts of their swords, ready to fight to the death right then and there. Johann's shout cut them off. Enemy attack! They immediately forgot about their fight. Enemy attack! A volley of arrows came whistling towards the two of them. Ken quickly shoved the horned Gam's head down, raising his other hand to block with his shield. He lay there for a long while, then looked down at his wooden shield bristling with arrows. The volley was over. Ken quickly turned. Hey, Gamson, go get the others. But the guy had already bolted. Ken furiously cursed, son of a bitch. Just then someone ran toward him shouting, Ken... Goran was relieved. Thank the gods you're safe, that volley of arrows. It was an ambush. Then he looked around and asked, Huh, where's Gamson? Ken was too rushed to answer. We'll talk about that later. Is Lord Eldon safe? Goran nodded. His lordship is hiding under the carriage. Anyway, prepare for battle. Just then Johann, now prepared, pointed at them. You two over there. Goran and Ken right form a defensive circle around the carriage. Due to the urgency, Johann had unconsciously raised his voice. We don't know which direction they'll attack from, so we must gather and fight together, but they cut him off coldly. You think you're the one who hired us, Ken said sharply. We'll look after ourselves. You just worry about saving your own hide. Johann's face went completely blank. The mercenaries were all donning their armor and raising their weapons and shields, preparing to fight. Despite the harsh rejection, Johann still tried to reason with them. Ken, I've fought in a battle just like this before. Give me a shield. Eldon, still hiding under the carriage, screamed back. Absolutely not. We don't even have enough shields for ourselves. Figure out how to survive on your own. With nothing else to do, he cursed under his breath. Damn it! They don't trust me one bit. Suddenly, his blue eyes widened. The attackers were closing in, but what made him even more tense was, Who are these guys? They're not the Grey Wolves of Aquitaine. Are they just some common bandits? At that moment, Can took command. Entire squad attack. The mercenaries roared, charging into battle. Johann was stunned. What? If you all charge forward, who's going to protect the carriage? The battle was a chaotic mix of clashing swords and curses. Who the hell are you bastards? How dare you ambush us? An attacker yelled back. Overwhelm them with numbers. There are more of us. Goran urgently shouted orders. Hold the line. If they push us back, we're dead. Thwack. He was punched square in the face by one of them. Shut your mouth. Seeing this, Johann grew worried. Captain Goran! The man on the other side pinned Goran to the ground, aimed his sword, and snarled, Die! A muscular figure blurred past. Damn you! A single decisive slash swung out. The attacker didn't even realize he'd been hit. Not just him, but several others. What? A moment later, blood sprayed everywhere. Even Johann, the one who made the strike, couldn't believe it. What in the world? He was sliced in two in the blink of an eye. The jet-black blade momentarily glowed crimson, causing the other attackers to cringe in fear. Were those ancient runes, carved on the sword absorbing the blood? They were horrified when they realized, it's a magic sword. The enemy is armed with a magic sword. A mere merchant escort possesses a magic sword. What are you even saying? There's no way we can defeat him. Johann used all his strength to shout, his voice not angry, but full of authority. Listen here, all of you. I am Johann Jas of House Jazz. Which of you dares to attack me? As soon as the words left his mouth, friend and foe alike were stunned. He's a nobleman. Johann slightly averted his eyes, thinking with a bit of unease. I only changed the S a little. It should be fine, right? And it actually worked. House Jazz, I've never heard of that family. But still, that means he's a nobleman, doesn't it? One by one, they began to tremble. If he's wielding a magic sword, he can't be from some insignificant family. We're doomed. We dared to attack a noble house. Then he pointed his sword at them. Answer my question. Wherever the tip of his blade moved, they froze in place. Do you wish to surrender now, or... Johann lowered his voice, staring straight at them. Do you wish to die by this blade? The mercenaries added their voices. Think it over carefully, you bastards! A sigh was heard, and one of the attackers let his sword fall to the ground. Then a second, a third, and then more and more, until they all raised their hands in unison. We surrender! Johann sheathed his sword, then called out, Goran! The man hurried over. Yes, Sir Johann. Tie them up. He instructed coldly, You may cut down anyone who dares to resist. A whispered conversation began. Lord Eldons, what do we do now? Goran was leaning in, whispering in his ear. I mean about that nobleman. I just thought he was a vagabond with good gear. Surely he won't. And hold what we did against us, will he? We should have at least given his lordship a private tent. Eldons, also a little shaken, replied, We did allow his lordship to join when he requested. Surely that must count as us showing some goodwill. He instructed, I will handle this and smooth everything over. For now, just stay quiet and observe. And after that, Eldons forced a fawning smile. Lord Johann of House X, you must have had a trying night. Johann turned to look. Ah, Eldon. He extended his hand in greeting. You helped protect my convoy. I don't know how I can ever repay you. He was inwardly regretting it 1,000 times over. If I had known he was a nobleman, I would have lent him my shield. Contrary to Eldon's worries, Johann just smiled. Repay me? What are you talking about? More importantly, I'm glad that you're safe. The man's eyes lit up. He's not asking for compensation. Johann looked on, not quite understanding, but he didn't pay it much mind. He just added gently, By the way, lend me that shield next time, all right? Eldon could hardly contain his joy. Of course, Lord Johann. Next time I'll definitely give the shield to you first before anyone else. Johann nodded. Good. After surveying the scene for a moment, Johann spoke again. Furthermore, I'm planning to interrogate them. Could I ask your mercenaries for a hand? Eldon had no reason to refuse. Of course. He cleared his throat. But now that your identity has been revealed, we would feel more at ease if you spoke a bit more formally. Johann made a sound of understanding. Ah, very well. Then I shall do so. A mercenary dragged over a bound raider. Move it. The robber knelt before Johann. Looking down at him, Johann growled, I ask you, are you their leader? Who are you, and why did you attack us? The man dejectedly revealed his identity. We are the household guards of House Bryce, a house that has been annihilated. So their background was that pitiful. A few months ago, Baron Bryce was suddenly attacked. We were accused of treason against the Emperor. Those bastards. They slaughtered everyone. Men, women, children, even the elderly, and without any real evidence. When he mentioned the slaughterer, it was as if Johann had been plunged into boiling water. The ones who attacked our domain were the Grey Wolf mercenaries of Aquitaine. We fought back fiercely. Che, but once the noble executioner joined them, we were defeated and had no choice but to retreat. Goran turned to the person next to him. The noble executioner. The man nodded. It must be him. Johann's blue eyes darkened when he heard that. The Emperor's hound? Karamaf. The raid leader kowtowed and begged, I sincerely apologize. I have committed a crime worthy of death. We never expected a nobleman to be traveling with the merchant caravan. His voice grew hoarse with desperation. The royal army hunts us, calling us rebels, and the northerners turn their backs on us, calling us cowardly deserters. His whole body trembled. Though I can't justify our acts of robbery, we had to do something to survive. Johann asked another question. And you didn't attack us for any other reason. He nodded his head frantically. No, my lord. The only reason we targeted the merchant caravan was because it was valuable. However, this made Eldon bare his fangs in anger. You bastard! Do you have any idea that a merchant caravan's deliveries are built on trust? He fumed, cursing, Do you know how much damage we suffer because of scum like you? It got to the point where several people had to hold him back. Hey, stop him. Calm down, Sir Eldon. Johann, meanwhile, was busy processing the information he'd just heard. Treason against the Emperor. Come to think of it, when I fought Karamaf, he said it was all for the Emperor. He bit his lip. Now I understand. The truth is finally out. There was never any treason to begin with. The Emperor just needed an excuse to purge the nobility, an excuse to unleash Karamaf. He was so furious he almost laughed. For the Emperor. What a load of garbage. That damn bastard. He deserves the most horrible death imaginable. Johann's gaze towards the men who had just attacked him began to change. They were in the same situation as him. They were victims of power. The muscular man looked a bit conflicted. Even so, the fact is they've become robbers. I'm not sure what to do with them. Can walked up. Lord Johann, what should we do with them? Just give the order. We can beat them half to death until they tell us more. Johann quickly stopped him. No, we've already gotten all the information we need. He bowed his head in obedience. Understood. Gamson popped out of nowhere. Then let's just beat them to death. Clang, his weapon was blocked. It was Can who had stopped him. Gamson looked confused. What are you guys doing? Why are you stopping me? Can glared at him. They have surrendered to Lord Johann. We have no right to punish them. Especially you, Gamson, after you abandoned your comrades and ran. He pouted flippantly. Oh, that, yeah, of course. The bound men started to cry out. Sir Knight, please don't spare us. We'll never do anything wrong again. Please have mercy on us just this once. Every one of them was trembling with fear. Can placed his hand on the hilt of his sword. Just say the word and I will execute them immediately, Lord Johann. He was just about to draw his sword when Johann gave the order. Disarm them and let them go. The kneeling men's eyes filled with tears. Sir Knight, Gamson questioned him, annoyed. Wait, you're just going to let them go? Are you serious? He said in a stern voice. Now listen to me closely. Every word he spoke radiated a noble aura. I understand your circumstances. You've probably never done anything other than wield a weapon, but even so, robbing caravans is unacceptable. Not only that, he also expressed his empathy. I was the same. I just had to learn the skills necessary to survive. Eldon, standing to the side, was astonished. A nobleman learning skills, Johann used the group of mercenaries as an example. Look at them. Do you think these men don't resort to banditry? Because they don't know how to steal. Goran looked embarrassed. I'm Goran. I'm here because he pays handsomely. Johann made a serious promise. I will spare all of your lives. Therefore, I'll learn a trade and find a way to make a living. They were so moved that they bowed to the ground to express their gratitude. Thank you, Sir Knight. We will not forget this kindness. With everything settled, Johann sighed in relief. We should get going. I don't want to get dragged into anything like this again. He nodded enthusiastically. Yes, Sir Johann. From afar, there was a dark silhouette on a mountaintop, something that looked like a pitch-black wild wolf. However, its crimson eyes were watching everything. Before reaching Maxell, Johann's group decided to stop for a short rest in a small place called Rutback Village. Dusk fell over the area. A voice called out, Village Chief Mr. Eldons of the Katana Trading Company has arrived. I know. The Rutback village chief stepped out and rushed forward with open arms. It's been a few months, hasn't it? Eldons replied cheerfully. Eldons, it's great to see you. Did anything happen on your way here? Eldons shook his head evasively. Don't even ask. We ran into a band of robbers on the road. Ever since the Emperor started going mad, it feels like the bandits have been getting bolder. Bruce pointed a finger, looking exasperated. This foolish old man. If someone from the Royalist faction heard you, you'd be in big trouble for saying that. Eldons laughed heartily. However, we transported the goods safely. He recounted with a look of admiration. It was all thanks to the nobleman traveling with us. From Eldon's perspective, his eyes shone as if he were looking at an idol. He was unbelievably brave. He mused, A nobleman, you say? Come to think of it, a so-called nobleman passed through here a few weeks ago, Bruce recounted. But it turned out he was just a nobody. A small fry pretending to be a noble. Get lost, I told him, so I beat him half to death and kicked him out of the village. The story made Eldons laugh his head off. You're still as reckless as ever. Quite the hothead, aren't you, I see? He clicked his tongue. I assure you, you don't need to worry this time. He is both brave and very righteous. Eldons continued proudly, even after protecting us from the bandits. He didn't demand any reward at all. He immediately widened his eyes. What a nobleman did a favor and didn't extort you for money, that can't possibly be true. The bearded Bruce Beck thought to himself, however, this old fox isn't the type to spout nonsense. With bandits running rampant these days, if we just have that night, and staying here it would be a huge benefit to our village. That's right. In this day and age, a true knight strong enough to wipe out an entire band of mercenaries would be a powerful asset for our security. He quickly turned to ask, thinking it was the perfect time. Since he's here, why don't you have him stay for a few days? Ah, no, forget that. Have him stay for a few weeks and rest comfortably. You yourself just said that the bandits have been getting out of hand lately. Eldon shook his head politely. I can't, village chief. I couldn't possibly impose on you. He immediately threw an arm around his neck. Impose between you and me? What's there to impose about? Even though our relationship is one of shameless haggling in broad daylight, in reality, we both have our own agendas. This wrinkly, bald old man is trying to steal my companion. The chief was smiling, but he wasn't happy inside. Look at this hairy rug trying to get in my way. The Rutback chief cleared his throat. So where is this precious nobleman of yours? Meanwhile, the precious nobleman they were talking about, Johann, was sitting slumped under a tree, groaning. He thought to himself, I'm about to starve to death. It seemed he was about to die on the streets like a beggar. Just then, Goran approached. Sir Johann. Johann looked up, his eyes lifeless. What is it? He suddenly held something out. Please take this. When he opened it, Goran politely explained, This is the money you've earned, sir. The sight of the money seemed to re-energize Johann completely. Goran scratched his head. We sold off all the bandits' assets and weapons. It's not a fortune, but it's a pretty hefty sum, sir. He asked in disbelief, You didn't take a single coin for yourselves. The man affirmed very seriously, You're the one who captured them, sir, so of course not. For a moment, Johann was at a loss for words. Then he held out the bag. Take this and divide it among your men. Goran was stunned. What? Confused Goran gestured. No, this is far too much. They surrendered to you, Sir Johann. By rights, all the spoils of war should be yours. It's fine, Johann reassured him. Don't worry about it. Tossing a few small coins in his hand, Johann said while silently shedding tears, I've already taken my share. The amount was so small that Goran was shocked. You're only taking that much, he forced a smile. I told you it's fine. But inwardly he was crying a river. Fine. What part of this is fine? It was heart-wrenching to give up the money he had shed blood and sweat to earn. Inwardly he grit his teeth in pain. But compared to venturing into the territory of the Grey Wolf of Aquitaine alone, paying for an escort of mercenaries was 100 times better. As Goran was about to speak, Johann suddenly placed a hand on his shoulder. Besides, I didn't fight alone. He tried to muster the most dignified smile he could. We fought together. That means we're comrades now. He wondered to himself, this should be enough to buy their goodwill, right? With that settled, Johann turned his back and waved. If that's all, I'll be on my way. Just as he'd hoped, the man was truly moved to tears. Sir Johann, a heart that cares for his subordinates. This is the true dignity of a knight. Inside the tavern, the mercenaries were talking loudly. Goran slammed his mug to get their attention. Listen up, you lot. Sir Johann has shown his generosity to all of you. He laughed, and has shared the money from the sale of the spoils line up and stepped forward one by one to receive your share. This was so unprecedented that they were all suspicious. Did I hear that right? He's sharing the money that should be his with us. A moment of silence passed before they dared to believe what they had just heard. Then one by one, cheers began to erupt. Johann, Johann, Johann! Meanwhile, the man himself was back in his room at the inn, snoring loudly. The faint sound of footsteps echoed outside. The wooden door creaked open slowly. A draft blew in, extinguishing the candle on the table. Johann lay still with his eyes closed. The intruder's eyes glinted red, looking ferocious, just like the blade gleaming in his hand. Around that same time, specifically on the night before the attack on Johann Goran, excitedly announced, Sir Johann has been generous and is sharing the money from selling the spoils with everyone. Everyone line up and step forward one by one to receive your share. The men erupted in excited cheers. They chanted in unison, Johann, Johann! Seeing their reaction, Johann celebrated inwardly. Excellent. Everyone's happy with the money, and I got to keep all the valuable silver coins while still earning their goodwill. What a bargain. I've succeeded in building a good impression. Just then a man approached him and inquired, Are you Sir Johann? He asked, surprised. You know who I am? The old man smiled brightly. Of course, sir. You are the nobleman who was traveling with Sir Eladin, correct? He then gestured respectfully. I will show you to our finest room. The Katana Trading Company has already covered all expenses. This way, please, sir. Johann was quite pleased. So Eladin finally paid me back in his own way. Wonderful. I was getting tired anyway. With that thought, he agreed. All right, lead the way. Meanwhile, an argument was breaking out where he had been. Why? Why am I the only one who isn't getting a share? Goran stated bluntly. You hid the whole time everyone else was fighting. Gamson, you're not getting a single cent. The man tried to argue. But that's... Gamson cursed in frustration. Damn it! They dare to cut me out! Suddenly his eyes widened in surprise. He saw Johann walking with the old man from earlier. A striking sword hung at his hip. Gamson smirked, a calculating smile spreading across his face. That's right, that's it. A short while later at a lodging house, Johann was relaxing, enjoying a soak in the bathtub. He mumbled contentedly, Now this finally feels like a proper rest. A soft bed and warm bathwater too. I never thought such simple things could make me this happy. It was then that Johann realized he had no idea how miserable it was to live as a homeless wanderer. He recalled his past. Back then I didn't realize what a great luxury it was just to sleep in an old bed. Even though I was born into a noble family, I still thought that life was difficult. But then that incident happened. That insane emperor razed our domain to the ground. And I wasn't the only victim. Johann decided to stop thinking about it. After all, I'm still alive, so I guess I'm luckier than most people. At the same time, he cursed himself. Damn it, I should have accepted Kazam Aiton's offer. What he was worried about now was, at this rate, the royal army will definitely catch and execute me. That's why I need to find another way. That's right. Johann recalled how those guys couldn't do a thing to Yodang before. From that, he reasoned that while a proud band of soldiers might not fear a single powerful merchant, they would certainly have to be wary of the merchant guild. And Yodang was part of one. Johann grew more confident. That's right. I remember learning about merchant guilds at the village market as a kid. A book mentioned that guilds within the same network would share information and finances across borders, and if it was a powerful guild, they could mobilize politicians, nobles, or even a nation's army. Based on this, he realized that if he wanted to survive while being hunted by the Empire, he had to get in touch with a merchant guild at any cost. However, Johann was completely exhausted right now. He decided to deal with the complicated stuff later. For now, I'll just fill my stomach and get some sleep. The silent night gradually fell. He was in a deep sleep after many exhausting days when the door to his room gently creaked open. He appeared to be sound asleep, showing no sign of waking. A murderous gaze glinted in the darkness. The man stared intently at the sword Johann clutched tightly in his sleep. He stealthily reached his hand toward him, his main target being that very sword. Johann snatched his hand, questioning him. Do you people ever get sick of this? The man cried out in a mix of pain and terror at being discovered. Johann coldly interrogated him. Answer me. Are you one of Kazam API's hunting dogs? Panicked, the man brandished a knife, threatening, Let me go! But he was flung clean out of the room. Writhing in pain on the ground, he hadn't even recovered when Johann grabbed him by the ankle. He cried out desperately for help. Please! Please save me! A regret that came far too late. The attacker had realized all too late that the man he'd just provoked was no ordinary person. Rewind to 5 minutes before the incident inside the tavern. While the old man was also deep in a pleasant dream, Gamson and his crew snuck upstairs. He was the youngest member of the Vojian mercenary group. Gamson whispered, "Hey, are you sure it's okay to leave that job to that guy?" The young man from Dot's Yorbik village, Bera, confirmed, "Of course." Bera even bragged, "He's the strongest guy in Dot's Yorbik village, Vunlin. You know how fast and strong he is." He also brought a dagger and a mask. There's no way he'll get caught. At the same time, he figured Bayo must be stealing the horse just as planned. As expected, the horse fanatic of Dot's Yorbik village, Bayo, was mesmerized. "So this is a war horse. It looks incredibly fierce." Unable to resist, Bayo mounted it for a test ride. "Easy now, fella." He was also very curious. "But hey, Gamson, is that nobleman's sword really that expensive?" Gamson shot back at Bera. Have you ever seen a sword that can slice a man clean in half?" He went on and on. "I saw that sword. It split an armored soldier right in two. A sword with that kind of power can't be cheap." At the same time, he was scornful, thinking that the knight was nothing without his sword. However, a series of loud noises drew the attention of them both. Vunlin was tumbling to the ground as he was dragged into the room. Vunlin screamed his lungs out, "Please save me!" Witnessing the scene, Gamson was scared out of his wits. Seeing him frozen stiff, Bera yelled repeatedly, "Gamson, what the hell is going on?" Gamson panicked and ran. "I don't know, run if you want to live." He was flustered, calling out to Gamson. As he fled, only one thought crossed his mind: we're done for. A gut feeling told him that something was wrong. The old man was also woken up. "Who are you people?" The old man stubbornly called after the two. "Who are you?" "Wait, is that you, Bera?" Bera quickly denied it. "I'm not Bera." The old man snapped, "You idiots, what kind of stunt are you pulling now?" The two of them quickly ran to the rendezvous point. They frantically called for Bayo. Bayo replied cheerfully, "You guys are finally—" He was panting. Gamson cut him off. "Shut your mouth and get ready to go." "Hurry up!" Bayo asked, bewildered. "What's wrong?" Right after that, he asked Bera, "Where's Vunlin?" Bera hesitated. "He's—" The other guy cut in again. "That guy's dead. Or he's about to be fucking dead." At the same time, he urged them on impatiently. "What are you doing? I told you to get ready to run. Get on the horses now." He quickly complied. Bayo still refused to leave. "What about Vunlin?" Gamson shrieked in a panic. "That damn nobleman! He could follow us all the way here. Hurry, hurry, hurry up." Bayo was still stubborn. "No way I can't leave without Vunlin." At the southern hills, a gloomy scene unfolded. An old tree was full of hanging bodies. Black crows flew wildly around the corpses. Two men were doing something. Near the southern edge of the Holy Kingdom, a soldier with a wooden mallet drove a post forcefully into the ground. His movements were so decisive you could tell it wasn't his first time doing this. Two soldiers stood looking at the newly completed wooden sign. They nodded, checking their work. "All done. Did you hammer the post in firmly?" "Yeah, it's solid." The wooden sign clearly displayed a warning notice. "These men stole the property of a nobleman. By my decree, they have been punished and hanged here." The two soldiers carefully read each line on the sign. "The Emperor of the Holy Kingdom of Kasagon Biralfu, R.K." After reading, they turned their heads to look up at the bodies swaying in the wind. The silence was suffocating. Then one man spoke, breaking the silence. "What did they steal to end up getting hanged like this? Did they steal a noble family's crest or something?" The other man lowered his voice and told him the truth. Hearing this, the soldier beside him whipped his head around, unable to believe his ears. "I heard they stole a chicken and 3 eggs from Baron Vajoseph's land." "What?" The soldier's eyes widened, his gaze a mix of fear and pity darting to the bodies hanging from the tree. "All of them ended up like this, just for something like that." Looking at the corpses swaying in the cold wind, the scene was tragic and mournful. In the evening, the full moon cast its gentle silver light down onto a tavern. Elzan was sitting and enjoying his food with a satisfied expression. He picked up his cup to drink, looking very content. But before he could finish his drink, his subordinate rushed in pale-faced. He panted as he delivered the news, which completely ruined Elzan's mood. He let out a long sigh. Then he wearily reported, "Lord Elzan, we have a problem." "What is it?" the subordinate quickly reported with a grave expression. Upon hearing it, Elzan spat out a mouthful of water, utterly shocked. It was Gamson from the mercenary company. He had been caught trying to steal from Lord Johann Itz. Immediately after Elzan shot to his feet, his face contorted. His brain short-circuited from the shock as he yelled, "What?" After calming down, Elzan sat back down, picked up his glass, and rested his forehead in his hand, letting out a heavy sigh. "Damn it. This is big trouble. I was hoping we could sweet-talk Lord Johann into coming with us to Masto. He propped his chin on his hand, his gaze distant, trying to find a way to survive this. The drama with these nobles is as tense as a drawn bowstring. Then Elzan suddenly stood up, pointed, and ordered his subordinate, calmly saying, "Arrest Gamson immediately. The rest of you will act as if you have nothing to do with this matter." Hearing this, the subordinate was filled with awe at his composure. "Yes, my lord, he's so calm." So this is how a merchant from the Katana Guild handles things. Elzan sat down again, clutching the glass in his hand. His eyes squeezed shut, trying to stay calm even as beads of sweat formed on his forehead. "I need to get a grip. I've been through so much to climb to this position. I'll get through this crisis too." A long moment later, he opened his eyes, his gaze turning dangerously cold. "I, Elzan, will not fall over something as petty as this. In any case, I need to think of a way to deal with that noble, just to be safe." Elzan clenched his fist, sitting tense and staring into the distance. Under the full moon, a wooden house flying a blue flag appeared in the territory of Count Rabin. Inside the house, 5 people were sitting around a dining table when the village chief spoke up. "All right, this village meeting is now over." Just then, someone burst in from outside, face pale, panting, as he delivered news that made the mood plummet. "Chief, we're in grave danger." "What is it?" The chief steadied the man. After hearing the news, his face went white, his heart sinking to the pit of his stomach. The troublemakers were caught trying to steal from the noble. He slammed his hand on the table, holding his head in utter helplessness. "Those useless punks." Another person timidly spoke up, which only enraged the chief further. He growled back so frustrated he looked like he was about to explode on the spot. "What should we do?" The village chief shot back, "What do you mean, what should we do?" His face twisted in fury. The chief sprang to his feet, raising his hand and yelling, "Gather up tributes to offer that noble immediately, and while you're at it, drag out one of the slaves that we're keeping in the village." The village chief then hesitated for a long moment before making a decision that left everyone around him completely frozen. No one had time to react. "Prepare to execute the troublemakers right in front of that noble." Everyone in the room immediately erupted. Some wailed, some were outraged, some trembled with fear. "What are you saying, Chief? I can't let my son die." "Son? How can you say that? Just because they aren't your children." Seeing this, the chief grew even more furious, his face turning beet red. He immediately raised a chair and threatened, "Shut your mouths and listen to me, you fools." The chair was smashed to pieces on the floor. The loud crash silenced the room. No one dared to make a sound. He explained through gritted teeth, his eyes a mix of anger and fear, his voice urgent. "Do you people still not understand the situation? Have you all forgotten the decree issued by the Emperor?" His voice lowered, sweat pouring down like rain, fear plain on his face. "We have to act before that noble does. It's the only way we can survive." The chief recited the brutal decree, each word weighing heavily on everyone's hearts. "Whoever covets the property of a noble may have their tongue cut out along with their entire immediate family or be hanged." Upon hearing this, everyone turned pale, their breathing heavy. The air grew noticeably colder. In some places, entire families have been wiped out because of that senseless decree. Then he continued through gritted teeth, his voice trembling with long-suppressed rage and injustice. "Simply because they asked for 1 chicken and 3 eggs in place of unpaid wages. All nobles are like that." The chief looked around the room, his eyes sharp and cold as he asked, "Now what do you think the noble your children just provoked is going to do?" The chief imagined Johann's face and the punishments for their crime, and a cold sweat broke out as his heart pounded. "You have offended a noble, so he will find a way to punish you. He could even chop off the hands of everyone in this village, all while rambling on about knightly honor." But one of the men in the crowd trembled as he argued back, "But this is Count Rabin's territory, no matter how powerful that noble's family is." "If we appeal to the Count for help—" Hearing this, the chief pointed straight at him, his voice dripping with frustration and contempt. "Nobles only care about their little games of honor. Do you really think they care whether we live or die?" Then he slammed his hand on the table and roared, "Wake up, you idiots!" The parents of the condemned children burst into tears, their choked sobs filling the house, which was submerged in a heavy, desperate atmosphere. Then the chief lowered his head, his voice growing hoarse. The anguish on his face was impossible to hide. "Do you think this is easy for me?" He sighed, helpless. "What other choice do we have? The whole village will live if those kids die. I'm sorry that I have to sacrifice your children, but this decision is for the sake of the entire village. Just accept it." The villagers moved to where the children were tied up. 4 kids were bound tightly on the ground, their faces bruised and tear-streaked. Johann sat on a chair, his expression stern, his presence intimidating. But inside his head, his thoughts were completely different. Damn it, this has gone way too far. Johann closed his eyes, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He thought it was an assassin sent by the Emperor, but it turned out to be just some village brats trying to steal his sword. It does look expensive. Thinking about how the sword was almost stolen, he felt a bit of sympathy. They probably did it because they were drawn to this sword. I should probably hide it from now on. He saw the children crying and felt a little guilty. It was partly his fault for carrying a sword like this around. I'll just parade around, scare them a little, and then let them go. He sat down, resting his hand on the sword, and sighed helplessly. Pardon me. The village chief trembled as he stepped forward. Forcing a strained smile, he asked quietly, Esteemed Sir Johann, are you all right? Hearing the question, Johann's face hardened. With a fierce expression, he replied, I am not all right at all. He stared intently at the kids, his eyes sharp. So this is how you welcome a sleeping guest in the village of Duisburg, by holding a knife to their throat and rummaging through their belongings. Is that it? At that, the village chief dropped to his knees and slammed his forehead hard against the ground. I am truly sorry. His forehead now red from the impact. He looked up, his voice trembling, and fear etched all over his face. It's all my fault for not managing these fools properly. Johann saw that the other party had admitted their fault, so he didn't press the issue further. He waved his hand and said, That's enough. All right, just be more careful next time. You can all leave. But just as he finished speaking, the chief pulled out a knife which made him jump in surprise. He grabbed the head of one of the children who had offended, raised the knife high, and prepared to strike. I will personally atone for this by cutting off the heads of these wretches for your honor. Seeing this, Johann hastily raised his hand to stop him. This crazy old man is making things worse. Stop. That's not what I meant at all. But the village chief misunderstood. His hand trembling, he pressed the knife against the child's neck, making the child sob in fear. Sir Johann, those who have sullied your honor deserve to die. Atanka, please don't do it. Please spare us. I'm sorry, Vunlin, he said softly, then swung his hand down decisively. Seeing this, the mother clutched her head and screamed, covering her eyes, unable to watch. I'm so sorry, my son. Johann roared in anger. Didn't you hear me say stop? The village chief froze his hand, trembling uncontrollably. Seeing Johann's furious expression, the chief stopped dead in his tracks, his whole body shaking as cold sweat streamed down his pale face. The surrounding villagers also fell silent. No one dared to even breathe loudly in the face of Johann's anger. A tense atmosphere enveloped them, and he shouted furiously, Have you all lost your minds? You're going to kill someone over something so childish. Johann looked sternly at the villagers, his voice low. If you want them to pay for their crimes, then make them pay with money. A villager stood silent. His jaw dropped, unable to comprehend what was happening, clearly not processing this logic. Seeing no reaction from the crowd, Johann frowned slightly, a flicker of worry in his mind. Was that too obvious? He cleared his throat a few times to regain his composure. I will say it again. Then he said seriously, How can honor be more precious than a person's life? Untie them now and get out of here, all of you. The knife fell to the ground, its metallic clang echoing dryly in the silence. The village chief collapsed to his knees, looking up at Johann with trembling hands, as if he were looking at a savior. Sir Johann, I never imagined you would make such a noble decision. The children's parents rushed forward, hugging their children tightly, sobbing with both fear and relief. But among them was one lone child with no relative running to him, a look of annoyance on his face. My son, I'm so sorry. I'm truly sorry, Mom. I'm so glad you're safe. The village chief was still emotional, thinking to himself, I can't believe it. A nobleman like him actually exists. Eldon was telling the truth. I'm sorry, Eldon, for thinking about skinning you one day. The children and their families bowed their heads to thank Johann. Thank you, sir. Sir Johann, we will never forget your kindness. Then a child spoke up, apologizing to Johann for his mistake, his voice trembling. Seeing this, the blond boy was startled. I didn't realize what an esteemed nobleman you were, and I almost became a victim of my own ignorance. I am truly sorry, Sir Johann. Then his father smacked him on the head while the blond one spat contemptuously. You brats got lucky. If it were any other night, you'd be dead in a very gruesome way. Suddenly, Can walked towards the blond kid with a knife. Seeing this, the blond kid scowled impatiently and said, Oh, for crying out loud! Finally, hurry up and untie me, will you? His mind was filled with frustration, cursing his own bad luck for choosing the wrong path. Damn it all, I never should have joined this unlucky mercenary band. Before he could finish his thought, the kid yelped as Can grabbed his hair and held a knife to his neck. He shouted, I may have been caught this time, but next time I'll definitely... Can leaned in close and advised in a low voice, "Relax, it'll be easier for you that way." The kid panicked and screamed, "What the hell are you talking about?" But before he could finish his sentence, sliced blood splattered everywhere. Johann turned his head and witnessed the scene before him, his entire body frozen stiff. He was stunned, unable to process it. Johann's eyes widened. His mind went blank, unable to believe what had just happened. Red blood sprayed everywhere as the man slowly crumpled and fell, his head hitting the ground. His eyes, now white, rolled back into his head. The man was sent to his grave as a stream of red blood flowed from his body onto the ground. The knife, still stained with the man's blood, also dripped onto the ground drop by drop. Johann was horrified by the sight. He demanded in shock, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Ken slowly turned his head to look at him and said nonchalantly, "By decree of the Holy Emperor, I have executed the one who coveted a nobleman's property." These heartless words of his left everyone utterly horrified. Johann, angered coldly, reminded them, "It seems you don't take my words seriously. I made it perfectly clear that I did not want to see their bloodshed." Seeing his darkened expression, Gozan grew a little tense and afraid. Elzan was still gaping, too stunned to have recovered his senses. Ken stated his case firmly. "Sir Johann, even mercenaries have honor and rules they must abide by. Gamson's cowardly actions trampled on both the honor and the lives of our mercenary corps. I am simply upholding the honor and rules of our corps." As he spoke, he walked over to Johann. He turned the knife around, offering the hilt to him. Johann stared at the knife presented before him, his feelings suddenly becoming complicated. Ken made a direct offer to him. "If you still believe that I have defied your authority, then please punish me. I will accept any punishment you see fit." Johann froze for a moment, caught in a dilemma. Calming himself, he thought, "He's right, mercenaries have their own pride. Ken is trying to protect that honor with his life." After a moment, he reached out his hand as if to take the hilt from him. Seeing this action, Elzan was so anxious she hardly dared to breathe. The others also watched tensely, waiting for his next move. Gozan quietly called out, "Can," but he didn't do what everyone expected. Instead, Johann pushed the knife away, frankly admitting his own mistake. "To be honest, I didn't consider your position. I apologize." Hearing him say that, though no one said a word, their expressions were priceless. From Gozan to Elzan, their eyes looked like they were about to pop out, jaws hanging open in shock. Even Can was stunned, frozen stiff. It was as if in that moment they all shared the same thought. A nobleman is apologizing. Johann broke the silence, reminding Ken put the knife away. He finally came to his senses. As he sheathed his knife, he stammered, My apologies, right away." Then he hurriedly bowed, sincerely thanking him. "Thank you for your understanding, Sir Johann." Gozan couldn't hold back any longer and rushed to Can's side. Half worried, half annoyed, he whispered, "What the hell were you just doing? Do you have any idea how reckless it is to confront a nobleman?" Can rubbed his neck and whispered to Gozan, "If I ever do that again, just kick me in the ass." After witnessing the whole thing, Elzan was trembling. Moved and full of admiration, he thought, "This nobleman is completely different. He's an upright and courageous noble, yet he doesn't abuse his authority. How can someone like him still exist? Could it be that he came from a monastery somewhere?" The more he thought, the more a look of adoration for Johann shone in his eyes. With his mind made up, Elzan schemed, "If I introduce Sir Johann to the Katana Merchant Guild, my reputation will soar even higher. I must make him an ally by any means necessary." The sun began to set behind the mountains. The lead carriage moved forward, followed by the column of soldiers. Looking at the gold-plated watch in his hand, Johann thought with some regret, "I picked this because it looked the most expensive, but it's a broken watch. I should have taken everything." Suddenly, he turned his head and looked at the people behind him, thinking, "Unbelievable. Now I have to worry about other people, too." Golden noticed his gaze and spoke up respectfully. "Sir Johann." Johann unconsciously recalled what had happened earlier. At the village gate, a deep, hoarse voice had called out to him, "Sir Johann!" Atanka eagerly brought several valuable items before him, followed by none other than Golden. Atanka said with fawning reverence, "Sir, these are gifts the villagers have prepared to show their gratitude to you." Johann asked with curiosity, "What are these things?" As he spoke, he casually picked up the shiniest gold-plated watch. He asked the man, "A watch you have such a valuable item here?" Seeing him take the watch, Atanka said fawningly, "You know of it, sir, as expected of a nobleman's eye." Then he pointed to the filthy Golden beside him and said with certainty, "Please accept this slave as well. He may not look like much, but he knows the local geography very well. I'm certain he will be of use to you." Looking down at the boy, Johann felt a stir of concern, thinking, this is the first time I've seen a slave in such a terrible state. If he's left like this, the kid's life will be in danger. In the end, he simply gave Atanka an order. I accept your goodwill. While we prepare to leave, get him washed and find him something to eat. Atanka replied cheerfully, I understand. With that, he turned to the boy. Cheer up, Golden. The esteemed Sir Johann has accepted you. Golden's eyes glistened as he finally dared to look up. Back in the present, Johann felt a little awkward, thinking, even though I took the kid in, I don't feel very comfortable using a slave. There's also something very strange about the kid's eyes. Night had fallen, a crescent moon hanging high in the sky. Their group had no choice but to set up camp to rest on the road. They chattered and joked happily, I can't believe we're having meat and soup while we're on the road like this. It's all thanks to Sir Johann's share of the spoils. My respect for Sir Johann has grown even more. Don't you dare drink a single drop of wine. Of course can. Johann was sitting silently looking at the sword in his hand when a voice called out to him. Master! He lifted his head to look. It turned out to be Golden. He brought food and drink to Johann and said with a polite smile, I've brought you your meal, sir. Johann just gave a short thank you, then pointed at him and said, You're Golden, aren't you? Change how you address me. You can just call me by my name. He became flustered, his cheeks suddenly turning red as he stammered, Yes! Your name, oh, okay, if you insist, sir. Thank you, Sir Johann. Seeing him act like this, Johann was speechless and thought to himself, What's with this kid? Is he a girl or something? He's so timid. When Golden sat down next to him, Johann took the initiative to ask, Anyway, how does a kid who knows so much about geography end up as a slave? Golden evasively gave a brief reply, It's not a very pleasant story, sir, and it's not really worth telling. Thinking he had touched upon a painful memory, Johann tried to comfort him. I've got more than a few unpleasant stories of my own, you know. Hearing this, Golden couldn't contain his curiosity and asked, Bad things happen to you too, even though you're a nobleman. Johann fell silent, unsure of how to explain. He changed the subject back to the boy. I want to hear your story first. Golden was reluctant, but he agreed. All right. Then he began to tell his story. I was originally a traveling merchant specializing in transporting and reselling weapons in the eastern region. I mostly delivered weapons made by blacksmiths to the nearby areas. Then on the orders of a nobleman, I got involved in gold smuggling. He stopped there, so Johann pressed on, gold smuggling that carries the death penalty at a minimum. You're lucky you even survived. But why would a weapons merchant get involved in smuggling? And you seem far too young for that. Golden explained honestly, I needed a lot of money to send back to my family. My younger siblings were sick and starving, so I kept transporting the gold that the nobleman ordered me to hide. It was an extremely risky job, but given his dire situation, he took it. Golden continued, until one day he reported me. Hearing this, Johann, looking frustrated, sympathetically asked, So after he used you, he just threw you away to cover his tracks? Golden didn't understand and just stammered, Is that what happened? Johann then asked, Didn't you demand a trial? Golden scratched his head and said hesitantly, Because of the Emperor's decree, I wasn't even given the right to speak. Johann cursed under his breath, then asked him, Were you at least able to send the money to your siblings? At the mention of this, Golden couldn't hold back his tears. His body trembled as he answered in a choked voice, In exchange for avoiding execution. That money was taken as a bribe for the guards. Feeling pathetic and not wanting to be a bother, he quickly wiped away his tears and made an excuse. I'm sorry, something just got in my eye. Johann calmly reassured him, You have nothing to apologize for. Don't worry about that in front of me. After hearing Golden's story, Johann grew somber. He fell into deep thought. Damn it, this world is so cruel it makes you grit your teeth. He thought as he glanced over at poor Golden, who was ravenously eating a piece of bread. Without power, you get exploited like a criminal as if it's just a part of everyday life. And what's more, no one can stand up against the actions of these cruel nobles. It's no different for the private soldiers of the Barrett clan who survived by robbing others, or the villagers of Zazvik, who were driven to the point of sacrificing their own children just to survive. The fate of these people is beyond tragic, a life filled with nothing but tears. Generation after generation, they are trapped in this vicious, inescapable cycle. Johann thought, looking again at Golden beside him, his face a mess of tears and snot. And then there's Golden, who became a slave after being used and discarded by a nobleman. Is this what's supposed to be right? Damn it, the poor kid. Thinking this, he wearily shut his eyes for a moment. But then he snapped back to reality, remembering his own urgent mission. Can't do this. This is no time to be worrying about someone else. I'm being chased by the Emperor's army. I could be killed at any moment. Then Johann suddenly called out to Golden. The boy quickly looked at him and shouted, "Yes, Sir Johann." Johann encouraged him with a booming voice. "We're comrades now, so don't you dare die. Let's survive this together and live our lives to the fullest." Hearing these words, Golden felt the warmth of human kindness for the first time and was moved to the point of being stunned. Just then a soldier ran up in a panic, interrupting them. Reporting Sir Johann, there are monsters nearby. Hearing that, Johann wearily grumbled, "Monsters, can't I get a moment's rest?" But he got to his feet anyway. "Where are they?" he asked urgently as he started to run. The soldier immediately pointed the way, this way. Golden remained seated, watching him leave. With tears in his eyes, he murmured, "Johann, live together with him." Oh, when Johann arrived at the scene, Gojiang saw him and immediately said, "Sir Johann, you're here, sir." Johann didn't waste any time and asked them, "Is the monster over there?" Gohan looked towards the forest, which was glowing red with a dark aura, and answered honestly, "It's too dark so I can't see clearly. But there's definitely a monster in there." Johann could see that gloomy aura. Suddenly he stood straight up. Gohan and Kan rushed over, panicked, and urged him, "Sir Johann, please get down." Johann turned to look at them and said calmly, "It's all right. Put your weapons away." Hearing him say that, Kan and Gozan, bewildered and pale, exclaimed in unison, "Huh? What did you say?" They cried out in shock. Johann said, "I'm going over there to take a look." The mercenaries hesitantly agreed. "All right then. Will he be okay?" Kan immediately whispered to Gozan, "No matter how brave a knight is, fighting a monster requires specialized skills. Even if you lure it into a trap that's been carefully prepared, it's still extremely dangerous." Gozan, raising his shield, replied, "Besides, our mission is to protect Sir Elzan. We can't take any more risks." Meanwhile, as Johann walked, he thought to himself, "I can feel a crimson aura flaring up." He noted a familiar pressure, one that could freeze a person's heart. A red glint flashed from the darkness. Johann thought, "Those bright red eyes really stand out in the dark." Johann stopped once he was close enough. He silently realized what the giant monster approaching was. The Calamity Black Wolf. That's right, it's that bastard. Johann recalled the last time he'd met it. It attacked the AC Wolf Pack, not me. He looked up with a determined gaze, even though it could pounce and kill him at any moment. Johann smiled to himself, "But I know it won't attack me." He looked straight into its red eyes and said, "Come on out. Don't hide anymore." The wolf stepped out from the bushes, growling as it observed him. He raised a hand towards it and said, "You've been following me, haven't you? Thanks for last time. I only survived because of you." Gozan asked in amazement, "Does Sir Johann know how to deal with monsters?" Ken, standing beside him, added, "I'm not sure. I've never seen anything like this." The wolf walked up and sniffed Johann. Suddenly it opened its mouth wide and clamped down on his head. The mercenaries immediately screamed, "Sir Johann!" But Johann was still alive. He shouted, stunning them, "Get off, you big baby!" As he pushed the wolf's head away, he said, "Don't be so dramatic, you big lug. You said it's the Calamity Black Wolf," another voice interjected. "That's the Harbinger of Dawn, isn't it?" Elzan asked with interest. Johann, confused, wondered, "Harbinger of Dawn?" As the man approached, he explained, "In the Eastern Empire, there's an old song that goes like this." Elzan recounted, "During the Great War, on a clear moonlit night, a warrior gave the wolf its name. He hummed the line, 'Harbinger of Dawn.' The named wolf bowed its head before that warrior." "Harbinger of Dawn," Elzan began. Its blue eyes shone in the dark night. When people saw the wolf leading the charge on the battlefield, they all cheered, "Harbinger of Dawn." He recounted, "At the end of the war that tore the continent asunder, the warrior brought peace and died a hero." Elzan continued, "The Black Wolf mourned sorrowfully by his side for 3 days and 3 nights. Afterwards, it set off to go wherever order and heroes were needed." That was how he finished the song. "The Harbinger of Dawn." Johann pointed at the large wolf that was frantically licking his face and asked, "Are you sure you aren't confusing it with a different one?" "This one is called the Calamity Black Wolf," Elzan explained. The legend of the Harbinger of Dawn originated in the Eastern Empire. When it was passed down to the south, some details were distorted. "The Harbinger of Dawn punishes evil and submits to a brave hero," he said. Elzan smiled and continued, "That's a line from the ancient texts of the Eastern Empire. As Johann pushed the wolf's head away, he wondered, so it really is that creature. Elzan walked over and asked, "May I pet its head?" Johann replied, "Go ahead." As he approached the harbinger of dawn, he coaxed, good boy, that's a good boy." However, it opened its mouth and let out a huge roar, scaring him. Terrified, Elzan mumbled, "Perhaps I shouldn't have done that." The harbinger of dawn, once petted by Johann, turned back into a big dog. There now be a good boy. Elzan, standing to the side, wondered, is the wolf only gentle with Sir Johann? He suddenly froze. Wait a minute. Elzan recalled, I'm certain there's a passage in the Eastern legends that says, if you give a name to a divine beast that follows you, it will become your vassal. He mused. Could it be that this southerner from a remote region is the hero from the legend? That's impossible. But what if he is the one? Then Elzan asked Sir Johann, have you named the messenger of dawn yet? Johann replied, not yet. Not yet. To be honest, I haven't had the chance to do it. He immediately suggested, then why don't you name it right now? Elzan continued, if the legend is true, something incredible will happen. Johann asked in amazement, is that so? He looked at the messenger of dawn and mumbled, then I'll name it. What should I name it, I wonder? Elzan suggested, how about Katana? He froze, then remembered. Wait a minute. The last time I saw it was when I buried that bastard Kazamap. That's right, isn't it? In that case, Johann shouted, Kazamap! I will name you Kazamap! Elzan realized in horror that the name was... The messenger of dawn's eyes suddenly flashed red. A light radiated from it, stunning everyone. From its tail, a stream of blue light suddenly appeared. Kazamap let out a long howl. Its entire body was covered in a layer of blue light. The light flared up so intensely that Elzan had to shield his eyes while Johann was frozen in shock. The pressure from Kazamap's transformation knocked Elzan back. Johann's eyes widened in shock as he watched it. He stood frozen and silent, watching a wolf completely transform into the messenger of dawn Kazamap. Kazamap lifted its paw and stepped forward, then it bowed its head before Johann. He raised his hand toward it. As he petted its head, he said, I am counting on you, Kazamap. Johann turned and said, you were right, Elzan. This is truly incredible. He then asked in amazement when he saw Elzan bowing and trembling. What are you doing? He explained in a panic. Everything is exactly as it is in the legend. This is the first time I've ever witnessed a mythological scene with my own eyes. He continued, making Johann suspicious. I have respected you since the very first moment I saw you, Elzan said repeatedly. You protected us from the bandits, showed mercy to your enemies, and even forgave them. With the honor of a knight, I offer my reverence to the one chosen by the divine beast of the East, he shouted, causing Johann to freeze. A hero of chaotic times. The mercenaries thought in awe. Sir Johann is... Golden also thought with admiration. Johann is... Everyone simultaneously thought, a hero of chaotic times. Johann looked at Elzan and sighed. He began, I'm sorry, Elzan. Johann scratched his head and explained, I'm not the kind of hero you think I am. I'm just a wanderer from a small family who has to worry about where my next meal is coming from. He silently added, on top of that, I'm also a wanted man for beating that Kazamap guy to death. Johann said, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Elzan. He immediately cried out, not at all, Sir Johann. Elzan asked respectfully, in any case, may I have your permission to introduce you to the Masto Merchant Guild, so that I can at least repay the kindness you've shown us? Hearing this, Johann wondered, you did say you were on your way to Masto when we first met. Right. I've never heard of that place in my life. What kind of place is it? He recounted, Masto is famous for being a free trade city in this region. All cities must go through Masto first. More than anything, it's one of the few cities that the Emperor's hand cannot reach. Upon hearing this, Johann was immediately surprised. He was silent for a moment. Then, while stopping a pestering Kazamap, he replied, I can't possibly ignore your kindness. Elzan shouted, thank you, Sir Johann. Johann gave a faint smile and thought, a place the Emperor can't reach, huh? On top of that, a trade there is very lively. If things go well, maybe I can start over as a merchant. As Elzan led the way, he cheerfully explained. In the era of the Great War, on a clear moonlit night, a warrior gave a name to a wolf. Johann mused. I just hope no weird rumors spread within the guild. About me being a hero or something. He frowned and wondered, a hero of chaotic times. How nice would it be if I really were that kind of hero? He sighed internally. Whether it was my past life or now, I'm still just a wanderer, struggling just to stay alive. Johann recalled a curse. You will know only suffering from this moment on. He clenched his fist and told himself, my life before I died wasn't easy either, but this time will be different. He resolved internally, this time I will move forward step by step with my own will. Johann thought of a large, prosperous city. Let's go. To the city of wealthy merchants, Masto, Johann exclaimed in amazement. So this is Masto. Golden, standing beside him, said with admiration, I never thought I'd be able to come back to this place. He looked at the people bustling through the market and thought, since we're in a trade city, we should do some shopping. At that moment, Kazimap had transformed into the size of an adorable little dog. Seeing it run off, Johann called out, Hey, what are you doing over there? It went up to a woman. As she petted its head, she praised, Oh my, you really are an adorable little thing. Want a little bite to eat? Johann pressed his lips, thinking, that's right. To other people, he's just an adorable little puppy, huh? Well, for now, anyway. One day before entering Masto, Johann stood pensively looking at Kazimap. He gently called out to him. Gesturing with his hands, he asked, A puppy about this big would probably be fine, but if a monster like you enters the city, it'll cause a huge commotion. Can you wait outside the city? Kazimap barked once in reply as if to say he could do it. A stream of light enveloped Kazimap. To Johann's astonishment, its body grew smaller and smaller until it became an adorable little dog. It lifted its head and barked as if to report. Johann exclaimed in shock, You can shrink! Is this also one of the abilities of a divine beast? Golden rushed over, hugging it and shouting, You're so cute! Johann looked at it and muttered, If he's that size, there probably won't be any problems. Back in the present, the market-goers had noticed Kazimap. Oh my, how cute, this puppy looks unfamiliar. Is it a pet brought back from a foreign land? No. While stopping Kazimap from eating more, Golden said, Sorry, this little guy isn't very well trained. The woman replied, No, it's all right. Johann watched him and thought, attracting attention. Isn't good for us. We need to get out of here quickly. After all, we're still being pursued. Suddenly, someone called out to him. Sir Johann, Golden suggested, if you buy a large bag that can hold our luggage, oil, and vinegar, I can handle all the equipment. Johann replied, Now that you mention it, you used to be an equipment merchant, didn't you? He took out the silver coins and wondered, but we only have 4 silver coins left. Can we really buy everything we need with just this much money? The boy raised his hand and took 1 silver coin from him. I, Golden. He looked at Johann and declared confidently, Promise to bring back everything I mentioned with just this 1 silver coin. Johann smiled and said, Don't overdo it. He didn't believe him, thinking, What can a kid even do with just 1 silver coin? 50 minutes later, a large backpack stuffed with goods was placed down heavily in front of him. Golden wiped the sweat from his forehead and said, This should be enough. Standing beside him, Johann was silently astonished. He couldn't believe the kid had bought everything with just 1 silver coin. He glanced at the small belt pouch he had been wearing first. We bought a tactical pouch. Johann then looked at Golden and his large supply backpack. This will make storing things much easier, he thought. Golden had used his astonishingly clever silver tongue to sell the completely shattered helmet for a very high price. The kid even got an umbrella thrown in for free. Now I won't have to needlessly reveal my identity as an enemy of the returned seal anymore, Johann calculated internally. On top of that, after buying vinegar and oil to maintain our equipment along with other necessities, we still have money left over, he recalled. Somehow, we ended up with more money than we started with, spent 4 silver coins, profit 1 silver coin, remaining balance 9 silver coins. That's a 12 silver 10 copper coin increase from when we started. Johann placed a hand on his chin and mused, If that kid can sell a broken helmet for that price, I wonder how much that pile of Kazimap's equipment I buried would be worth. He smiled to himself. If I get a chance to come back later, I should dig it all up and sell it. Johann tilted his head and asked Golden, You look very happy doing familiar work. Golden? I guess you really were a merchant. Did you like your old job? The boy stroked the backpack and replied, I've missed this life so much. Remembering his hard days, Golden said, I became a slave never knowing when I might die. He recounted, I lived each day in despair and fear. Johann listened in silence. Golden continued, But now that I've met you, Sir Johann, I feel like I've returned to my life as a merchant, not a slave. Golden smiled and said, Thank you, Sir Johann. Even if I hadn't been turned into a slave, I'm sure I would still have joined you on this journey. Johann laughed and said, I'm happy to hear you say that. From now on, I'm counting on you, Golden. Golden replied cheerfully, Yes, Sir Johann. Then Johann said, All right, now then let's go explore Masto. The boy answered loudly, Yes, sir. Johann and Golden entered a tavern. A waitress immediately came over to welcome Johann, a man who had only ever known hardship. He finally felt a happiness far beyond the life of a wanderer after setting foot in the merchant city of Masto. A moment later, Johann sat at a table gnawing on a rack of grilled ribs. As he ate, he silently marveled, "The dried meat I ate while wandering was as tough as chewing on leather.
The meat in Masto isn't even comparable.
It just melts in your mouth." He then remembered, "I couldn't wash and my whole body itched like crazy." He stepped into a bathroom. "But in Masto I can take a warm bath whenever I want." Johann remembered having to sleep on the streets. "While traveling, I never had a proper place to sleep. Every time I lay down, the cold, damp stones would dig painfully into my body." He lay on the bed, his eyes sparkling. "But in Masto, I can sleep under warm, soft blankets." Johann joyfully declared, "Life in Masto is just too good, I've decided. I'm going to settle down and live here." The evening in Masto passed by, and so Sir Johann dreamed of happily settling down in Masto. However, fate would not be so kind to him. The next day in Masto's city square, a bustling crowd moved all around. Johann took a bite of a grilled meat skewer. As he walked, he muttered in admiration, "What a peaceful life. It's been so long since I could walk through town this comfortably." Suddenly someone cried out, "This is terrible!" A worried merchant asked, "Bandits again?" The woman replied sadly, "Yes. This time they've taken my daughter. And that's not all. All the goods they were carrying were stolen." Johann silently ate his meat, listening in on the conversation. The woman said, "I'm terrified to hear the news tomorrow." The old merchant then said, "With these bandits running rampant like this, how can the people live without being in constant fear?" Golden whispered worriedly, "It seems there are bandits around Maso too, Sir Johann. No wonder the mood in town is so grim." A loud roar of "Damn it!" interrupted them. A ragged man wearing a sword yelled at a merchant, "I told you I'd pay you later. Do you have any idea who I am?" He was covered in dirt and dust. He screamed, "I only asked for a single skewer of meat. I haven't eaten anything in 4 days." Johann watched him silently. This man was a straggler from the Grey Wolf Mercenary Company. A Q. He had been separated from the main force while chasing Johann, wandering just to survive. He had drifted all the way to Maso. As he was speaking, he suddenly froze. I said I'd pay." Johann's face went pale, his mouth agape. The ragged man's face also turned pale, his jaw dropping. He put his hand on his sword and roared, "It's you bastard!" Johann gritted his teeth and thought. "The Grey Wolf mercenaries, a Q. They've tracked me all the way to Maso. This is really bad." He paled, realizing nothing good would come from a fight here. The ragged man charged forward with his sword, screaming, "Die!" A flash of a blade and the ragged man's head suddenly tumbled to the ground in front of Johann. The surrounding townspeople stared in shocked horror. "What the hell?" A man on horseback with a sword said as he rode up. "I thought he was a bandit, but he was just a petty thief. With security so poor these days, all sorts of riffraff are crawling out." He looked at Johann and asked, "Hey, traveler, are you injured?" Golden, standing nearby, replied, "Thank you, sir." Johann remained silent. The man smiled. "Good, be careful out there." Then he rode away on his horse. Just before leaving, he shouted, "Halt!" He shouted to draw everyone's attention. "Citizens of Maso!" The people immediately turned to look at him as he stopped his horse before a troop of sword-wielding men. They were fully armored, arranged in small squads under a banner. He was Brian, the captain of the Oak Tree Mercenary Company. He shouted to reassure the crowd. "Do not worry," he declared, looking around at the people. "I assure you the 500 warriors of the Oak Tree Mercenary Company will sweep away these bandits and bring peace back to Maso." Seeing the enthusiastic cheers from the crowd, Golden smiled and said, "Incredible. I can't believe I'm seeing them in person." Johann asked, "Are they famous?" Golden looked up at the banner and replied, "Yes, the Oak Tree Mercenary Company. They're said to be one of the Empire's top mercenary corps. It looks like there really are bandits prowling around Maso. They must have been hired to take care of them." Johann frowned silently, realizing that if that man hadn't stepped in, his identity might have been revealed. He looked at the meat skewer in his hand and thought, "And if that had happened, there's no way I could have stayed in Maso, especially with the entire Empire hunting me." He then remembered the curse, "From this moment on, you will know only suffering." Johann gritted his teeth and told himself, "Snap out of it, Johann. You're still a fugitive." He thought of Elzan. "The only way for you to survive is to build a solid relationship with the Katana Merchant Guild. Not even the Emperor can carelessly interfere with a merchant guild." Johann remembered Elzon's trembling form. He thought, fortunately, Elzon holds me in high regard, which gives me an opportunity to connect with the Katana Guild here in Maso. Johann pursed his lips and worriedly asked himself, but what if my identity is revealed before that happens? What then? He wondered. Would they still stand up for me if they knew the entire empire was hunting me? Absolutely not. Johann pictured the worst-case scenario. If I'm exposed before I've built a solid relationship with Katana, I'll be killed. There's no doubt about it. He clenched his fist, reminding himself, my goal is clear. I have to get to the Katana Merchant Guild and secure their protection from the Empire. He frowned, thinking, therefore, until I've earned the Guild's trust, my identity absolutely must not be exposed. Suddenly, a voice called out, pardon me, are you perhaps Sir Johann? The emblem of Elzon's Merchant Guild caught his eye. A cat-beast-kin girl was bowing to him. I am a personal maid for the Katana Merchant Guild. My name is Ivelker. Johann pressed his lips together and listened in silence. I've heard about your accomplishments from Sir Bilhan. I must say I am deeply impressed. We would like to establish a close relationship with you and your family. She looked up and asked, if you aren't occupied, would you be so kind as to accompany me to the Katana Merchant Guild? Scene change. The Meso branch of the Katana Merchant Guild. Golden was training Kazamap. All right. Kazamap shake. Hey, don't bite me. Meanwhile, Johann was sitting in the living room looking a bit tense. I finally made it to the Merchant Guild. This could be my chance to change my life. Not long after Aeon entered from outside. You must be Sir Johann correct. I've heard about you from Eodang. She took the initiative to introduce herself. Allow me to formally introduce myself. As she said this, Aeon bowed slightly. I am Aeon Branch Manager of the Master Branch of the Katana Merchant Guild. My name is Eon. I am the Branch Manager of the Katana Merchant Guild at the Master Branch. Yes. Seeing this, Johann also hurriedly introduced himself. Yes, I am Johann of the Itz clan. It is a pleasure to meet you, she replied politely. The pleasure is all mine, Sir Johann. At that moment, Eon invited him. Shall we talk over some tea? Johann agreed. Sounds good. Let's do that. When she brought out the teacups, Aeon cleverly introduced the drink. This tea is a trade good brought back from the Mediterranean region, Eon added with a radiant smile. I hope it is to your liking. Johann forced a smile, thinking to himself, this is coffee. But he then replied politely, thank you for this drink. After taking a sip, he hesitated for a moment before asking, the aroma is wonderful. Is this tea made by roasting the beans of a fruit and then brewing them? Faced with Johann's knowledge, she exclaimed, precisely, you truly have a keen eye. It's rare to meet someone who recognizes it. Now Aeon didn't beat around the bush any longer. Shall we get down to business? Her next words nearly made him choke on his drink. We can surmise the reason for your visit. Panic was written all over Johann's face. Damn it! Have they found out that I'm wanted by the Emperor? Eon hummed. Well, that is... because... A second later, she spoke with a sympathetic expression. You are harboring a great ambition in your heart. Her words left him stunned. Aeon recalled I heard the story from Eodang. According to him, you protected the innocent and showed mercy to your surrendered enemies. I see a man like you coming to Masto, a place where pillaging is rampant. I can sense your ambition to save this city with your own two hands. Johann held his head in exasperation, thinking to himself, I have no idea what she's talking about, but I'll just play along for now. With that in mind, he spoke up. I see. You have seen through my true intentions. She gently reassured him ambition is not a bad thing. On the contrary, it is a quality of the worthy. At this point, Eon suddenly leaned close to his ear, and our guild loves to sponsor the ambitions of the worthy. At that moment, Johann immediately realized this is it. This is my chance to make a deal, she said cunningly. If you wish, we could even introduce you to the governor of Masto. He froze, looking at her. The governor? A governor is basically on par with a mayor. Can I get both the guild and the mayor on my side? But Johann couldn't contain his joy. If this goes smoothly, even if that old emperor shows up himself, he won't be able to do a thing to me, no matter what I have to accept this offer. However, he remained level-headed. Thank you for the offer, but could you tell me exactly what the sponsorship from the Katana Guild entails? Eon listed them off directly. Sponsorship from the Katana Guild means all the services our company provides, restaurants, inns, and even entertainment services. You can enjoy anything you want under the name of Katana. But of course, it's possible we will stop the sponsorship if your spending becomes too extravagant. As she said this, she suddenly raised her hand to signal. However, there is one condition, Eon declared firmly. You must promise to fight under the banner of our guild. whenever we need your help." Hearing this, Johann understood their intentions. He narrowed his eyes slightly. "In other words, you want me to take care of the bandits threatening the city," but she denied it. "No." Eon explained, "The Carulia Mercenary Corps has already been dispatched for that task. We want you to do something else, Sir Johann." But this only made him more confused. Something else. A second later, the smile on her face turned cunning. Eon recounted with a sigh recently. "The number of shopping districts at odds with us has been increasing. They say the Katana Guild is monopolizing the market. The louder they complain, the harder it is for us to handle." The expression on her face was now chillingly cold. "We want you to eliminate the members of those disgruntled districts. And their children, too, for good measure. That is our only condition." Aeon asked, hesitantly probing him. "So what do you say, Sir Johann?" At this, he crossed his arms and thought for a long time. It was unclear what he was thinking, but the expression on Johann's face was somewhat fearsome. Time passed, and it was already dusk outside. Johann finally emerged from inside. As soon as he saw him, a delighted Golden ran over to ask Sir Johann, "You're back. How did it go?" But Johann remained silent, his face dark. This made Golden extremely worried. "Sir Johann?" But just then he broke into a smile and shouted an order. "Golden time to go get some honey." He was so shocked he froze. "What go get some honey?" flashing back to about an hour earlier. At that time, Johann had replied in a low voice, "I refuse." He carefully explained, "In a large city like Masto, it's inevitable that complaints will arise if you monopolize distribution." As he spoke, Johann's face was filled with disapproval. "And instead of resolving the issue through compromise, you want me to kill them. And their children, too." He refused firmly. "I cannot kill innocent people for such a reason. I refuse to do this. Let's just pretend this agreement never existed." Eon's face now looked incredibly fearsome. She was silent for a long moment, staring at Johann. Unafraid, he stared right back. After a while, she cracked a smile. Then Eon suddenly said, "You've passed Sir Johann." Hearing this, Johann looked completely bewildered. "What?" She then explained, "We were testing to see if you were a suitable candidate for our guild's sponsorship. Please forgive our rudeness, you righteous knight." Johann asked curiously, "So the whole thing about the monopoly and the complaints from the districts, was that all fake?" Yeon smiled gently and explained, "The Katana Guild has never monopolized distribution, nor have we ever earned the resentment of the districts. On the contrary, we distribute quality goods at fair market prices. In fact, we're quite popular among the merchants." "You'd be surprised how many guilds rip people off," Eon announced with her arms crossed. "In any case, we wish to uphold the terms we've proposed. That doesn't mean we expect you to head to the battlefield immediately," she added as if recalling something. "The Oak Tree Mercenary Corps has already gone to suppress the bandits. Please feel free to rest and enjoy Katana's sponsorship in the meantime." With that, Eon extended her hand. "What do you say, Sir Johann? Will you shake on this partnership with me?" Johann couldn't help but beam. A second later, he immediately agreed. "Wonderful, I accept. After so many hardships, this partnership is finally sealed. Thank you, St. Luoc. I hope this meeting will be beneficial for both of us." Back in the present, a confused Golden asked, "Sucking nectar. What does that mean?" Johann explained hesitantly, "Well, basically, it kind of means something like going out to eat something expensive. On the Katana Guild's dime." Later, as the two walked and chatted, Golden asked, "So did your talk with them go well?" "Yes. They've finally agreed to sponsor me." He beamed. "Congratulations, Sir Johann." Johann replied cheerfully, "Thanks, Golden." At that moment, Johann gently looked up at the sky, deep in thought. "I got sponsored by a guild the moment I arrived in Masto. Everything's going so smoothly." Thinking this, he clenched his fist with resolve. The bandits around Masto have been causing a ruckus lately. But once the Oak Tree mercenaries wipe them out, this place will be peaceful again. A gentle breeze blew past. Johann was feeling ecstatic. The happy life I've always dreamed of isn't far away now. It's time to relax and enjoy it. On their way, they suddenly heard a piercing scream. When the two went to check it out, they saw flies swarming all over a man's body. His blood was pooled on the ground, and a crowd had gathered around. Standing among them, Johann was so shocked by the sight he froze in fear. "What in the world is this? Why are there dead bodies lying out in the open like this?" At that moment, someone suddenly called his name. "Sir Johann!" Gogyang bowed respectfully. "You've arrived." Seeing him, Johann immediately asked about the situation. "Gogyang, do you know what's going on right now?" Gogyang began to explain. Yes, it seems the bandits around Masto have become more savage. After murdering the families of the city's merchants, they dumped the bodies here to threaten the city of Masto. The bodies lay strewn across the ground. A second later, a resentful voice cried out, "Damn it!" One of the men began to stir up the crowd. "This means nothing has been solved at all. We should make the city of Masto take responsibility for this." A well-dressed man hurriedly tried to explain, "No, wait. I heard a rumor that the Emperor himself is the one who incited the bandits." But he was immediately cut off. "Nonsense." A moment later, the crowd erupted into an argument. "There's no way the Emperor would do something like that, unless he's gone senile." "Senel, watch your mouth. I don't believe His Majesty is behind any of this." The argument grew louder. "His Majesty, don't make me laugh. That old man is targeting Masto. How dare you people be so disrespectful to the holy nation? The gods will abandon such an unrighteous emperor." "Shut up. How can a senile old emperor be of sound mind? Who do you think you are to defy the holy nation?" Witnessing this scene, Johann couldn't help but feel frustrated. Damn it. So much for my peaceful Masto. I was just starting to settle down too. Those bandits are ruining everything. He gritted his teeth. What the hell are those mercenaries doing? Meanwhile, at Ion's office, there was a sudden knock on the door. Shortly after, Imelka entered. "Pardon the interruption, branch manager Ion. I bring terrible news." Ion, seeming to have already guessed, cut her off. "You mean the bodies of the merchants the bandits sent over? I already know." She hesitated. "What are the Oak Tree mercenaries doing about that? We can no longer contact the Oak Tree Mercenary Corps." These words made Ion's face turn pale with shock. "What did you just say? What do you mean?" Imelka then explained. "The body of our contact was found near the forest outside Masto yesterday, in a truly horrific condition." After hearing the whole story, she fell deep into thought. Ion analyzed nervously. "The Oak Tree Mercenary Corps has military strength comparable to an entire city. They're one of the top mercenary guilds in the Empire. There's no way they could lose to a bunch of small-time bandits." At that thought, she slammed her fist on the desk. "Imelka." She flinched and replied, "Yes, my lord." Jan ordered sternly, "Bring me Sueltega, the mage of the Ifeal River. We need to find out whether they were truly defeated or not, through his prophecy." Meanwhile, at the Ifeal River, Sueltega gently placed his hand in the flowing water. "I understand." He spoke in a low voice. "Katana, you are mistaken. Searching for the Oak Tree mercenaries won't change a thing." A look of curiosity crossed Sueltega's face. "He's the one who killed the Emperor's hound and fled, and now he's hiding behind Maso's money." He paused. "But things won't go the way that bastard expects." The scene then shifts to the Meso branch of the Katana Trading Company. The door opened gently, and a moment later Sueltega stepped inside. Ivelker flinched at the sight of him and rushed out to greet him. "Welcome, sir. Lord Sueltega, thank you so much for accepting Katana's invitation." At that, Sueltega shot her a contemptuous glare. "You thank me, and yet you send a wretched carriage driver to fetch me. I thought my back was going to break." Ivelker shuddered at that. "My apologies, sir. Yes." She then quickly led the way. "First, I will bring Lord Ion here." However, he stopped her. "Don't bother." "Sir," Sueltega explained, "if it's truly urgent, she'll come on her own." Ivelker still looked worried. "But..." Seeing this, he shot her a warning glare. "Don't make me repeat myself." She replied, terrified, Yes, sir." A while later, Sueltega sat in a chair by the window. He gently stroked his beard. "Following the call of the Ifeal River, I should be able to meet him here." Just then, Johann was standing in front of the building. "So that's him." He thought to himself, "The day I finally get to meet the Consul of Maso is here." Johann thought as he walked inside. "I absolutely have to get on the Consul's good side so I can settle down in Maso and finally end this life on the run from the Emperor. I mean, I'm the guy who made it all the way to the second round of interviews at a major corporation, you know." His footsteps echoed in the silent space. He wondered, "I wonder what the Consul likes. I should have asked Ion beforehand." A moment later, it suddenly went on guard. "What's wrong, Kazamapin?" Sueltega slowly approached. Kazamapin. That's hardly a name befitting a divine beast. He stared tensely at the man. This old man. Sueltega's gaze was terrifying. How does he know Kazamapin is a divine beast? A moment later, Johann shot to his feet. "Who are you?" The man seemed a little surprised. "It appears you don't know who I am." Then Sueltega introduced himself. "The sage of the Ifeal River, Sueltega. I am Sueltega, the sage of the Ifeal River." but Johann still had no idea who he was. Noticing his confusion, Sweltega clarified, "To put it simply, I'm a mage, imagining someone using magic." He looked at the man with awe. Magic, that's right. Another world has to have magic. Johann's heart pounded with excitement. I came to meet the consul, and I get to meet a mage too. Big cities really are something else. A second later, he leaned in close, introducing himself excitedly. It's an honor to meet you, Lord Sweltega. I've always dreamed of meeting a real mage. But in the face of this enthusiasm, Sweltega seemed a bit taken aback. Is that so? But then he cut straight to the point. You seem quite carefree for someone being hunted by the Emperor. Johann stammered, terrified. How do you know about that? Sweltega answered calmly. Magic, of course. It is the mystery of the Ifael River. I can see the past and future through its currents. Johann asked cautiously. Are you going to report me to the Emperor? He gave Johann a puzzled look. Why would I do that? This left Johann completely stunned. With that said, Sweltega turned to leave. Who do you take me for? I am the keeper of the secrets of the Ifael River, and a seeker of the mysteries in the natural order. I have no interest whatsoever in the political squabbles of the mortal world. Only the call of the Ifael River can command me. Johann furrowed his brow, thinking to himself, the Ifael River. Now Shuga was also reassuring Johann. If I intended to report you, I would have done it in secret already. Why would I need to announce it loudly in front of you? Hearing that, he felt a bit more at ease. Come to think of it, he's right. If that's the case... As he thought this, Johann grabbed his hand again. In that case, Sir Shuga, I'd like to hear more about magic. Would that trouble you? Seeing the look of admiration in his eyes, Shuga was a little suspicious. What's with this guy? If he were an ordinary knight at a time like this, he recalled the disdainful attitude of the knights he'd met before. A sorcerer. Aren't they just a bunch of cowardly, doddering old men who know nothing of honor on the battlefield? He should have had that kind of reaction. And compared to Johann's attitude, Shuga was even more confused. Why would this knight's eyes light up at the mention of magic? He asked excitedly. So how do you use magic? I wonder if an ordinary person like me can do it. Johann was thinking to himself. This is my chance. A chance to learn magic and become a magic swordsman. If I do, my survival rate will be much higher, right? Shuga agreed. Very well. Since fate has brought us together, I don't mind teaching you. But he also had a condition. It's boring to just talk. If you can beat me in even one game of chance, then I'll tell you. Johann asked curiously, I bet you mean chess. Instead of that, could we bet on something else? Like arm wrestling, for example. As he imagined arm wrestling, the old man, these words suddenly flowed through his mind. Please do not use force against the elderly and the weak. Shuga chuckled dryly. Arm wrestling, are you trying to bully me? It's not chess. Come here and see this. He turned away coolly. The game of kings is interesting indeed, but how can it compare to the game of gods? Hearing this, Johann was a little curious. The game of gods. A second later, Shuga took out a game board and 2 jars of stones. Seeing it, he hesitated. This is... The moment he saw it, Johann recognized it. It's go, Shuga said softly. First, sit down. He reassured him, does it look complicated? Don't worry too much. I'll go a little easy on you. Meanwhile, Johann was celebrating internally. My luck strikes again. He confidently recalled his glory days. When it comes to Go, I was a division-level champion. I'm very confident. A moment later, Johann picked up a handful of black stones. I don't know how skilled this old man is, he thought as he seriously held out his hand, but I'm going to win. Shuga didn't hesitate any longer. Well then, let's have a gentle start. Johann smiled with determination. I must win to get his teachings. Johann raised his hand to make the first move. I'll claim his knowledge of magic too. Time passed. 50 minutes later, he now looked exhausted while the old man sighed. Johann hesitated. Sir Shuga. Shuga smiled brightly, trying to persuade him, let me take back a few moves. But he immediately shot back, absolutely not, sir. You've already asked to take back moves 5 times. The old man slammed his hand down in frustration. This is absurd. How can I possibly lose at the game of gods? At this point, Shuga started to get suspicious. Are you really sure this is your first time playing? Even the Sultan of the Empire couldn't defeat me. Johann smiled gently, consoling him. That's only because you were such a thorough teacher, Sir Shuga. He hesitated a moment more, then Shuga made a new offer. One more game. If I lose again this time, I'll give you a gift. It will be useful for your life. A gift. hearing that he couldn't contain his joy. Could it be a magic item if that's the case? Right after that, Johann asked, "How many handicap stones would you like, sir?" The old man blushed with embarrassment. "Just give me a 3-stone handicap." At that, Johann started the new game. "Then let's begin." As they played, Suga asked curiously, "But you're supposedly from a noble family. Why are you so interested in magic?" He didn't hide it. "Since I'm being pursued by the Emperor, the more I know, the better." "Right." Suga thought for a moment, then explained, "If you intend to use it in combat, then you should give up. The knowledge of magic I can pass on isn't that kind of thing." Hearing these words, Johann asked in shock what it can't be used in combat. He grumbled in annoyance. "Are you seriously planning to fight using magic?" But in the end, Su Silga still agreed. "Since I made a promise, I'll answer you. I've heard there are some who use it in combat." Johann replied excitedly, "So it's true." But a second later, the old man yelled, "Don't just listen so nonchalantly!" Su Silga carefully explained to Johann, "Those who are typically called mages mainly find their mystique in nature. Some find it in the wind, some in fire, and some even claim to have found mystique in the flames of burning sulfur. Mages practice different systems of magic." At this point, he sighed. "And then there's that fool who babbled about finding mystique in the Black Forest." At that moment, Johann vaguely realized that the last sentence seemed to carry a bit of emotion in it, or so they say. Su Silga continued his explanation. "The mystique that is found is called a spirit. Mages borrow the power of that spirit. Spirits usually lend their power without demanding a price, but their whims sometimes demand an extremely high one," he warned in a stern voice. "So, even if you come into contact with the mystique, you must be careful not to displease the spirit." Hearing this, he stammered, Yes, I understand." In reality, Johann was sighing in his heart, feeling dejected. "So this is the kind of world this is, huh? I guess I don't need to risk my life to understand the laws of nature. Forget magic swordsmen, there probably isn't even any magic equipment. No wonder my luck turned around." Not long after, a voice rang out. "Sir Su Silga is already here." The sound of hurried footsteps. Eon was reprimanding someone. "Why didn't you report to me immediately?" Eibel tried to explain, "That's because..." He insisted that he not be announced. "Honestly, these mages... I told you it was urgent. Oh, he's over there." A moment later, she opened the door and stepped inside. The moment she saw the atmosphere inside, Eon realized he must be using the game of the gods to tease his opponent. She was a little surprised to see this. Su Silga suddenly shot to his feet and shouted, "Let me take back that last move!" Johann looked at him helplessly. "Sir Su Silga..." Even Eon was shocked by the scene. "Sir Su Silga is being cornered in the game of the gods." She looked at him curiously. "Sir Johann, what kind of person are you?" Meanwhile, Johann laughed loudly. "Just accept your defeat, sir." Just as he finished speaking, Eon spoke up. "Oh my, Sir Su Silga, so this is where you were." She approached politely. "If you came to Masto, you should have called for this Eon first." "Did you have a pleasant time with Sir Johann?" Su Silga laughed awkwardly. "I was just testing my skills against this knight for a few moves." "I see." As he spoke, he messed up the game board. "The branch manager has arrived. It's a bit of a shame, but I suppose the game must end here." Johann was stunned on the spot. Then Su Silga took out 2 vials. "Here, take these." He asked curiously, "Sir Su Silga, what are these?" The old man glanced at Johann and explained, "Did I not make you a promise? These are vials containing the final secret of the Immortal River. They are the water of wrath and the water of blessing." The scene shifts to the Oak Tree Mercenary Guild's watchpost. In the dead of night, Bratyu's eyes were filled with panic and his voice trembled. "What the hell is this?" From within the forest, a pair of glowing red eyes appeared. A second later, the shadow of a woman with a savage smile advanced toward them. She laughed maniacally as she drew closer and closer. Bratyu's face turned pale with fear. "She's not a bandit." His eyes widened. Right after that, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the forest. Sometime later, at the Masto branch of the Katana Merchant Guild, Johann accepted the gift from Su Silga with an excited look on his face. These two are the water of wrath and the water of blessing. At this, the old man began to explain their origin. Since ancient times, the Immortal River has hidden an age-old secret, the mystery of life and death. I have spent my entire life trying to uncover it, but the Immortal River never revealed it to me. Su Silga's next words stunned him. "Until you appeared, Johann." He carefully explained the effects of the 2 potions. As long as your head isn't completely severed, the red vial can heal you without any problem, no matter how severe the injury. As for the blue vial, it can melt a person with a single drop. Hearing this, Johann exclaimed, I never expected to receive real magic items like these. Thank you, sir. So magic items really do exist. Phew, these two things have put my mind at ease. Just then, Susilga remembered and turned to ask the branch manager, You called me because of the prophecy, didn't you? Ian hastily recounted, Yes, Sage. Bandits have appeared around Masto and there have been many civilian casualties. She added worriedly, The guild dispatched the Oak Tree Mercenary Guild. To deal with them, but we haven't been able to contact them for several days. Could it be that they've... Before she could finish her sentence, he cut her off. They failed 3 days ago. Hearing that, Aeon was shocked. A moment later, Suslaga recounted the voice of the Ifeal River. There is a prophecy. Southeast of Masto, the will of the oak shall be trampled by a rock of steel. Their fate will be severed behind a veil of failure. The inability to stop the flames will engulf the city. That is what the voice of the Ifeal River spoke. The Oak Tree Mercenary Company has probably been wiped out. She hesitated, glancing at Johann. To think the Oak Tree Mercenary Company lost to mere bandits. It sounds like we'll need a city council meeting. Sir Johann, it is time to act in the name of the council. After a moment of silence, he replied in a low voice, I understand. Scene changed to a large room. The sound of hurried footsteps and Ibn's cunning smile. He pushed the door open and stormed right inside. Oh my, it seems I'm late. Then Ibn sat down. Baron Ibn, Van Entover. Now then, let us begin the council. For Masto and for the Emperor. At that moment, his mustache twitched slightly. Seeing this, Johann whispered disdainfully, What a ridiculous mustache. The Middle Ages really are full of oddballs. Not long after, a voice drew his attention. Greetings, members of the City Council. Velaco smiled and introduced himself. Governor of Masto Velaco Giannini. As most of you know, I am Velaco, the governor of this city. Johann looked at him with a calculating expression. Velaco. I need to get on his good side if I want to settle down in a city that not even the Emperor can touch. I have to make a good impression on him no matter what. Even his name sounds impressive. Velaco began tilting his head slightly. Since all of Masto's influential families have gathered here today, allow me to thank you for taking the time to attend despite your busy schedules. At this, he extended a hand. Before we begin, I would like to introduce a certain nobleman to you all. Following Velaco's gesture, everyone's gaze turned toward Johann. This is a member of the Itz family who is currently under the patronage of the Katana Merchant Guild. Sir Johann, facing so many stares, he couldn't help but feel nervous. It is a pleasure to meet you all. I will do my best. The crowd clapped reluctantly. Noticing this, he lowered his head. Immediately after, Ibn changed the subject. More importantly, Lord Governor, I heard the mercenary group hired by the Merchant Guild failed in their task. To subjugate the bandits. What happened? He began to wheedle. If you had just sought aid from the Emperor of the Holy Empire from the start, this would have been resolved cleanly. Those from the anti-Emperor faction immediately stood up to object. Those bandits only appeared because of the Emperor. He should take responsibility and reduce the taxes he collects from Masto. That's right, well said. The pro-Emperor faction, not to be outdone, retorted, Shut your mouths! How dare you insult His Majesty? In the current situation, your words are utterly treasonous. Neither side would yield. Do you think we can't see through the Emperor's wild ambitions? He unleashed those bandits to throw the city into chaos, and now he plans to station the Imperial Army here. In the midst of all this turmoil, do you have any proof? Show us the proof. You scoundrels, the only reason you're taking your anger out on us is because the mercenaries you hired were so useless. Caught in the middle, Johann felt disgruntled. These old politicians. I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. My ears are ringing. Thinking this, he suddenly felt a sense of fear. So many people here openly support the Emperor. I'll be in danger again if I'm exposed. Despite this, Velaco remained calm, smiling gently. But then his demeanor changed. His voice dropped, carrying a warning. Everyone, please, be silent. As soon as the words were spoken, the entire room fell quiet. Witnessing this scene, he couldn't hide his surprise. After a moment, Aeon cleared her throat with a slight cough and spoke with a gentle smile. The governor understands your concerns and has prepared a contingency plan. That plan is, as she spoke, her eyes showed clear determination, to form a second subjugation force to attack the bandits at their very root. Those present were shocked to hear of this plan. What? He quickly began to flatter. As expected of Governor Vilaco, you are truly wise. The Emperor cherishes the peace of Masto above all else. At this, Ibn continued to coax, you need only say the word and he will send the army at any time. Johan's face went pale. What, the Emperor's army? This time I might really be captured and executed. He looked at Vilaco, pleading. Please refuse him, Vilaco. After a long silence, he finally spoke. You have contributed a great deal to the city council. As Sir Ibn, that is a fact. In truth, I myself am always grateful for your support. Vilaco smiled gently as he declined. However, I must respectfully refuse. Immediately after, he also added a reminder. His Majesty is likely occupied with the recent rebellion in the north. I wish to lighten his burden even if just a little. At this point, Vilaco made his stance clear. Masto will organize a new mercenary force, including Sir Johan over there. This time he didn't press the matter. If that is your decision, then so be it. I truly hope the Emperor will recognize the governor's loyalty. As for Johan, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief, thank heavens. Or so he thought, but I'm still suspicious. That mustached guy is definitely one of the Emperor's supporters, and from the looks of it, he and the governor seem very close. Am I going to be all right? The more he thought about it, the more anxious Johan became. He said that not even the Emperor could touch Mason, but it doesn't seem like that's the case at all. Eldon. After a long moment, Iaeon's voice rang out with an announcement. Well then, today's meeting is hereby concluded. The council members have prepared a small tea party. I encourage all of you to join. As everyone else began to leave, Ivan remained seated. Johan was about to get up and leave when Vilaco stopped him. Sir Johan, could you spare me a moment? He reluctantly agreed. Of course. Johan's face was incredibly tense. If Vilaco really is on the Emperor's side, I should make an excuse and get out of here immediately. The more he thought about it, the more hopeless his situation felt. My luck is just the worst. Am I going to have to live on the run again? The man smiled brightly and gestured the way. Please come to my office. Johan followed helplessly. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, Anafed glanced over at them. A moment later, they finally arrived. Please have a seat, Sir Johan. Thank you, sir. Now Vilaco asked again. You said you were from which family? Johan gave an awkward, hesitant smile. Yes, I am Johan Itz of the Itz family. At that moment, Johan involuntarily broke out in a cold sweat. A second later, the man suddenly exclaimed, The Itz family. So that's where you're from. Vilaco looked very enthusiastic. The Itz family is quite a special one, famous for its specialty date liquor. It's very famous among connoisseurs, you know? Johan played along. You know of my family, sir? But then he froze. Wait a minute. That family actually exists. I only changed a single letter. As he spoke, he took out a bottle of wine. What perfect timing. Coincidentally, I have some of your family's liquor right here. This is the date liquor from your homeland. Then Vilaco grabbed a glass cup and handed it to Johan. I imagine you must be very homesick. Johan anxiously accepted it. Thank you, sir. As the glass was filled, Johan downed it in one go. He tried to put on an act. This flavor, it really brings back so many memories. But in reality, he was thinking, I didn't even know this kind of date liquor existed. Vilaco smiled gently. I'm glad to hear you say that. At that moment, his demeanor changed. By the way, is the Itz family still doing well? His words were filled with a probing tone. I heard the Emperor's cold blade swept through the north. Such a tragedy. Johan froze. Vilaco continued with a look of sympathy. Unfortunately, many families were purged. They say the survivors scattered everywhere and are now living as bandits. The more Johan listened, the more worried he became. Among those purged families, there is one who is said to be wanted for treason. As he said this, his tone turned cold. I hear that family is named the Itz family. Johan tried to feign ignorance. Is that so? I had no idea. This is the first I'm hearing that name. But Vilaco's eyes seemed to see right through him. However, in the blink of an eye, his attitude changed again. It seems I got a bit carried away with gossip. Forgive me. Johan forced a smile and stammered, Not at all, don't worry about it. A moment later, Vilaco changed the subject again. You know, speaking of which, Mr. Johan... His next words exposed him completely. What you just drank wasn't date liquor from the Itz family. It was just cheap vodka distilled nearby. Upon hearing this, Johan's face turned pale. Vilaco then glared at him coldly, his voice laced with menace. Shall we stop these meaningless word games? Johan Itz,